Of course, Edouard Mendy from Rennes, injured on Senegalese international duty in training, so he's out. And Kepa comes back in on point. Andreas Christensen returns at the back. He played against England for Denmark a few days ago. The popular and talented American Christian Pulisic is back in for this one too. A lot of people very happy about that. And Mason Mount, a scorer for England against Belgium, netted the winner. Silva, who Hogan mentioned there, the veteran, is rested at the back. So it's Kepa in goal. And then the back four, Ben Chilwell, Kurt Zuma, Christensen, and of course the skipper for the team, which is Cesar Azpilicueta, and N'Golo Kante and Jorginho in the engine room, and then Mount alongside Pulisic and Kai Havertz, and we expect Timo Werner, his fellow German, to Hakim Ziyech and Reece James. First of all, what do you make of that Chelsea lineup and those changes?
Yeah, they've gone for the changes, but I still think you can get out of that Chelsea back four. When you look at Azpilicueta, Zuma, Christensen and Chilwell, it doesn't fill you with the most confidence, I'll be honest. Reece James had a fantastic game in midweek for England. I would have liked to
then got sent off, of course, after the final whistle, we shouldn't forget.
Yeah, of course. But I would have liked to have seen him play today. Thiago Silva being rested. I know there's Champions League in the week, but Chelsea, I think they will make changes from game to game. You look at people like Kovacic, Ziyech, Reece James, Hudson-Odoi, these people are going to play a lot of games, so it's just about managing the squad, and maybe he feels that with the Champions League coming up in midweek, this is a good chance to rotate. Yeah,
what I would say is it is certainly a very strong bench, and there certainly is very much competition for places and strength in depth of the Blues, now that there's no transfer ban or embargo, and the likes of Havertz, etc. have all come into a few minutes' time. As for Southampton, two changes to the team that beat West Bromwich Albion by 2-0 before the international break. Those changes see Nathan Redmond return to the starting 11, and Theo Walcott plays in the Premier League for Southampton for the first time since 2006. He was 16 when he came to prominence with Southampton, 17 when he left for Arsenal, and of course to Everton. Now returns on loan at 31 to Southampton and says he's not here to put his feet up. Fair enough. So the team is as follows: Alex McCarthy in goal, back four of Carl Walker-Peters, Ryan Bertrand, Yannick Vestergaard and Jan Bednarek. It's James Ward-Prowse and Oriol Romeu, Walcott and Nathan Redmond, and they support Shea Adams and Danny Ings up front. There's no Stuart Armstrong due to COVID-19 or Moussa Chinepa, who's injured. They're the two players who drop out. And then Forster, Stevens, Long over Femi, Valerie, Teller and Diallo. That's the bench. Ibrahima Diallo, an exciting signing, hoping to make his debut, just like Ziyech is for Chelsea. Quick thoughts then on that Southampton lineup.
I think we know what to expect from Southampton. They're going to press very high. They're going to be energetic. I think Theo Walcott gives them a great different option. They were lacking real pace in that wide area, and he can provide that with Danny Ings, who likes to drop off. Che Adams is a strong striker, holds the ball up. I think Theo can give them that penetration, which they've probably been lacking. So it's a good Southampton side. They'll be under no illusions. It'll be a tough game today. Chelsea will have a lot of the ball, but they'll work super hard, as they always do. It's what the manager demands, and I think Southampton can give a real good go here.
OK, well, the players are out on the playing surface here at the bridge preparing for kick-off. That is less than 20 minutes away. And as ever, at TalkSport Live, please drop us a line on Twitter, your thoughts on these teams, the managers, how they're going to fare over the season, how this game is going to go, and also just where you're listening from around the world, what you're up to. Send us a picture. We love to hear from you. We'll read the best out throughout our commentary. We'll also look ahead to some of the other stories of the week and review that incredible Merseyside derby in a moment here on Premier League Live.
Let's talk about you looking after your business. Ford, looking after your vehicle. Let's talk hassle-free Ford leasing. Just a fixed monthly payment, no motor tax to deal with, and no maintenance or servicing to pay on selected plans. Get the Ford Transit Custom from €290 per month. Hassle-free Ford lease. Now we're talking. Search Ford Lease or text Ford to 50015 to speak to us about leasing your next vehicle.
Text cost a standard rate. Price quoted for Transit Custom Base with no maintenance. Over 4 years with 3 monthly rentals in advance. 20,000 kilometres per annum. Business users only. Price excludes VAT. Ford Lease is provided by Merriam Fleet Management, trading as Ford Lease.
Create the Premier League atmosphere at home with Harvey Norman, the home of the big screen. Feel like you're on the pitch with our stunning range of 4K smart LED and OLED TVs from LG, starting from just $449. Plus, hear every kick, save, tackle, decision, with LG's best-in-class soundbars. Get TV ready for all the big games with Harvey Norman. Shop online today or safely in our spacious stores. Harvey Norman, home of the big screen.
Go!
This is not the time for business as usual. It's time for effort and imagination. It's time to use technology to start your online plans. It's time to work from home to stay in touch. It's time to look to each other. Scoil Céile. Ireland is working online with help from Black Knight and .ie, because now we need better than business as usual. Call Black Knight on 059 918 3027 or visit blackknight.ie.
I was never good at spelling. I could read just fine, but I would be afraid if anybody asked me to do anything involving spelling. But since doing the course, all that has changed. I am braver. In fact, I feel braver than ever now. You know, you're never too old to learn. Never.
If reading, writing, maths or technology is holding you back, take the first step. Free phone 1800 2020 65 or text LEARN to 550 to see how we can help. This free and confidential service is supported by your local ETB, Solas and Nala.
Introducing Guardson Sport. Protect your sporting equipment from COVID-19 for up to 14 days with Guardson Sport disinfectant treatment. Ideal in team sport settings with the sharing of balls, rackets, gloves, helmets and all other sporting equipment. Guardson Sport kills COVID-19 on impact, keeping surfaces free from COVID-19 and other viruses and bacteria for up to 14 days by creating a protective polymer layer on application. For more information on Guardson Sport and other quality assured, certified and approved PPE, visit yourcovidprotection.com.
123inc.ie have your office needs covered. So whether you're an accountant, butcher, carpenter, dentist, electrician, florist, graphic designer, hairdresser, journalist, lecturer, musician, optician, retailer, teacher, solicitor, web designer, or yoga instructor, we've got what you need. And we're cheaper than your current supplier. 123inc.ie. For home, for office, for less.
You're listening to TalkSport's coverage of Chelsea against Southampton from Stamford Bridge. I'm your host, Russell Hargreaves, and alongside me is the former West Ham, QPR and Toronto FC winger Hogan Ephraim. And then we've had some fairly inclement weather on and off, haven't we, across October in the UK, and it's cutting up a little bit, isn't it? It'll be really interesting to see what it can dish up for these two teams, because they do both like to play football if they can.
Yeah, most definitely. If you look at the front four Chelsea have got out today, there's a lot of technical players in there, so they're going to want to play nice, intricate football. And same with Southampton. When you look at Danny Ings, who likes to drop off, get on the ball, Nathan Redmond likes to come inside and link up. So they will hope that the pitch holds out. We've been fortunate the last 6 months or so where the pitches have been in unbelievable condition, obviously not being used and giving the groundsman time to prepare. So hopefully this will be fine and it will be just a normal game.
Just a word back, if we can, on the Merseyside derby, the first of our four commentaries today on Premier League Live. 2-2 in the top-of-the-table clash between Everton and Liverpool, who are now first and second, having played that extra game. Keane, Mane, Calvert-Lewin, Salah with the goals, Richarlison sent off. This dramatic disallowed goal, controversially for the Reds late on. It pretty much had it all, didn't it?
It did. I thought Liverpool were very unfortunate not to win the game at the end there with the Jordan Henderson goal. But Everton started on fire this season. I know that now they'll be missing Richarlison for 3 games, which is a big blow for them. They'll have to change things around a bit, but they've started really promising and they'll take a lot of confidence and they'll believe that they can keep the momentum going and carry on and pushing this season.
Well, Chelsea, as things stand, admittedly they'd have also played a game more than most, but they would go second on goal difference ahead of Liverpool, behind Everton, if they win today. And Southampton could go certainly into a tie for third points-wise. So both have got decent ambitions over the course of the next few hours. The other two commentary games after us are belters as well. Got Man City Arsenal at 5:30 UK with Tom Rennie and Chris Perry. Then Newcastle against Manchester United. Tim Long and Paul Parker, that off at 8. Also historically a cracking game. We'll look ahead to those hopefully at half-time if we get a minute. Now, Hogan, one of the big talking points, of course, over the last few days, it's dominated the back pages and a lot of our news agenda here in the UK, is the Premier League voting not to back those rather controversial plans proposed by Liverpool and Manchester United. A real radical plan, wasn't it, to refinance the game and, given the COVID-19 pandemic, and much more, kind of restabilise it moving forward. Your thoughts, first of all, if we can, on this whole idea of Project Big Picture?
Well, I think it's clearly obvious to see that the lower league teams, they need a lot of help, they need financing. it was always going to be hard to find a solution, because the top teams at the Premier League would be thinking it's not their duty or their priority to look after everyone else, which is fine. That's their own agenda. I think maybe what came out, what Liverpool and Manchester United were asking for, was maybe a little bit too much. They wanted the power in the votes and to cut the Premier League. I think we do have the best league in the world, the most exciting league in the world, so I don't think we need to be making too many changes. And the clubs have come together and they found a different way to go about things, and I think that's probably the best way forward.
It's going to be fascinating to see what happens with it, no question. 20 to 18 clubs in the Premier League was part of the idea. No EFL Cup, the Carabao Cup, no Community Shield, at least £50 million rescue package, then rejected by League One and League Two clubs. They wanted something closer to the original £250 million bailout that was mooted to the EFL. So we'll watch it very closely indeed. 9 clubs was the idea to be given special voting rights, so that concept again of more power to the Big Six. As we say, Liverpool and Man United, as we understand it, were the instigators. Let's hear from the Man United boss, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, saying we need to protect all clubs.
We have a responsibility to protect the football pyramid, or the smaller clubs. I think we've seen lately that the effect this pandemic has had on many smaller clubs. For me, you say the fans, that's a key thing for me, that we want to get the fans back into the stadiums, which will help the other clubs. I'm just very glad that we're looking into and we're trying to help, and the talks have started, and let's make the powers to be decide how we're going to do that.
Well, Hogan, that's the take of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Do you concur or not?
Yeah, I do agree. I think these clubs need looking after. The traditions in English football have been outstanding. I don't think there's a country which competes with us for the pyramids that go down. So we have to keep it going. It's going to be hard to find a way around it which everyone agrees to. And the figures that are being talked about, they're mind-blowing figures. So this isn't just something where you reach into your pocket and pay out. So it's going to be tough, but we have to find a way, because there will be clubs that will go bust in the next few months at most, and we can't have that in our game. We need to protect the identity of our game and keep pushing forward.
And just on that note quickly, there was also talk of £100 million being paid by the Premier League clubs back to the FA as part of the original plan to help offset some of the losses and costs incurred during COVID-19. But the FA themselves have really been, hit out at, haven't they, by the likes of Gary Neville, the former Man United and England defender, saying that the current governance of the broader game is not fit for purpose, and a new kind of leadership and umbrella for the English game might be needed. Do you agree with that?
I think so, yeah. It just seems to have gone a bit stale there. So I think Gary Neville talks a lot of sense in what he's saying on that subject, and he's someone who himself, he has great ideas for the game. He's obviously been a player, been a manager, been a coach. He's a part owner of Salford, so he has great knowledge. He sees the ins and outs which is going on, and maybe that's something we need to look into, because things do seem to have gone stale.
OK, Hogan, we appreciate your thoughts on that. It's a story that will run and run. How do we save the game in these unprecedented and difficult times, but make sure that the rich don't get richer and more powerful, and that the poor stay fairly treated and can survive? Anyway, back to our game. Chelsea against Southampton, kick-off in less than 10 minutes. Let's hear from the two managers who will go toe-to-toe in their respective dugouts. That's Saints' Ralph Hasenhüttl on the back of Chelsea's Frank Lampard.
I think there's been a culmination of things that work. If you're bringing in players, and we brought in some players, I know other teams have in the Premier League, but you're always looking to build relationships over the pitch, whether it be full-backs and wingers, strikers and people playing behind them, midfield players as combinations, centre-backs, goalkeeper with his back four. I think those things can only be worked on, and I think when we didn't have a lot of these players fit already, the ones that we brought in, and now we're seeing that they're starting to get fit, we get some time on the training ground, the relationship on and off the pitch can grow. So I hope that we'll keep working. We've got a lot of work to do. We are not the end product. There are other teams that showed last year and the last 2 or 3 years how long it takes, the work that it takes to become top teams in the world, and we have to do it in our own way. And we're at pretty much the start of that journey in a lot of ways. So the work has begun, and it continues all the time to keep trying to improve.
They have to be a better team than last season, and they are definitely, because with Timo Werner, Kai Havertz and a few other signings, they have so much quality now on on the not only on attacking positions but mainly there. Normally a team that is prepared to win titles, and in the end for us more difficult than last season maybe.
Every player can play their way into the starting 11, the squad. That's in every player's hands. That's how I try and work here. Is how I work. Is that things I do are always for the best of the team, in terms of the best of the club, because we're trying to get results every week. So the players all know that, and the beauty of the window now being shut is that we can get to work and know what the squad is. Everybody knows that they can contribute, and we will need them and rely on them because the amount of games we play, and Tony's the same as every other player on that one.
I don't understand the 3 games, to be honest. Suddenly we have a busy time now, and suddenly we must play 3 games here for the international, 1 friendly game and 2 Nation League games. I know everybody wants to have his competition, but arriving on Thursday or maybe Friday is definitely a disaster for us for preparing for the weekend. And the agreement was the latest game is on Tuesday. I don't know why they changed it now, and yeah, we have to handle it like always, but it's not perfect.
Ralph Hasenhüttl, the man they call the Klopp of the Alps, up against Frank Lampard, Chelsea's prodigal son, in pretty much every sense. Quick word on this. It's a very interesting head-to-head, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Ralph Hasenhüttl, he's done a fantastic job ever since that defeat against Leicester, when it looked like the writing would be on the wall last season. He's bounced back. He's carried himself with such class and dignity as well, so much credit goes out to him. And then Frank Lampard, what I love about him, he's so straight talking. I love seeing Frank Lampard after a game, gives his honest assessment, never gets too carried away. He can get a bit harsh on his team, some people might say, but I think that's just because he expects the most. He was a top player in a top Chelsea team, and he expects these players to be producing similar results.
Hogan Ephraim has high expectations himself, and quite right, I have to say, ahead of this one. Should be a belting game. I'm Russell Hargreaves, and we will recombine in just a few moments' time for Chelsea Southampton right here, Premier League Live.
Let's talk about you looking after your business. Ford, looking after your vehicle. Let's talk hassle-free Ford leasing. Just a fixed monthly payment, no motor tax to deal with, and no maintenance or servicing to pay on selected plans. Get the Ford Transit Custom from €290 per month. Hassle-free Ford lease. Now we're talking. Search Ford Lease or text Ford to 50015 to speak to us about leasing your next vehicle.
Text cost a standard rate. Price quoted for Transit Custom Base with no maintenance. Over 4 years with 3 monthly rentals in advance. 20,000 kilometres per annum. Business users only. Price excludes VAT. Ford Lease is provided by Merriam Fleet Management, trading as Ford Lease.
Create the Premier League atmosphere at home with Harvey Norman, the home of the big screen. Feel like you're on the pitch with our stunning range of 4K smart LED and OLED TVs from LG, starting from just $449. Plus, hear every kick, save, tackle, decision with LG's best-in-class soundbars. Get TV ready for all the big games with Harvey Norman. Shop online today or safely in our spacious stores. Harvey Norman, home of the big screen.
This is not the time for business as usual. It's time for effort and imagination. It's time to use technology to start your online plans. It's time to work from home to stay in touch. It's time to look to each other. Scoil Céile. Ireland is working online with help from Black Knight and .ie, because now we need better than business as usual. Call Black Knight on 059 918 3027 or visit blackknight.ie.
I was never good at spelling. I could read just fine, but I would be afraid if anybody asked me to do anything involved in spelling. But since doing the course, all that has changed. I am braver. In fact, I feel braver than ever now. You know, you're never too old to learn. Never.
If reading, writing, maths or technology is holding you back, take the first step. Free phone 1800 2020 65 or text LEARN to 550 to see how we can help. This free and confidential service is supported by your local ETB, Solis and Nala.
Introducing Guardson Sport. Protect your sporting equipment from COVID-19 for up to 14 days with Guardson Sport disinfectant treatment. Ideal in team sports settings with the sharing of balls, rackets, gloves, helmets and all other sporting equipment. Guardson Sport kills COVID-19 on impact, keeping surfaces free from COVID-19 and other viruses and bacteria for up to 14 days by creating a protective polymer layer on application. For more information on Guardson Sport and other quality assured, certified and approved PPE, visit yourcovidprotection.com.
123inc.ie have your office needs covered. So whether you're an accountant, butcher, carpenter, dentist, electrician, florist, graphic designer, hairdresser, journalist, lecturer, musician, optician, retailer, teacher, solicitor, web designer, or yoga instructor, we've got what you need. And we're cheaper than your current supplier. 123inc.ie. For home, for office, for less.
You're listening to TalkSport's coverage of Chelsea against Southampton from Stamford Bridge. I'm your host, Russell Hargreaves, and alongside me is the former West Ham, Queen's Park Rangers and Toronto FC winger Hogan Ephraim. And this is Premier League Live. Well, it's a fairly dull and overcast day in West London. And of course, no crowds, as we know, to greet this one in the Premier League, given the ongoing pandemic. But still, Hogan, a degree of excitement ahead of this one. I think we could be in for a very good match. How do you see it panning out and why? What are your key battlegrounds?
I think Timo Werner, he looks like he's going to be the one player, number 9. He has to get down the sides of Bednarek and Vestergaard. I think he can expose them with his pace. He's a real live wire. Obviously, Pulisic, he's been one of the standout players since the restart of football. He's been amazing, and he needs to carry on that form, what he had at the back end of last year. And I think Chelsea will have a lot of the ball. And if they get the first goal, that will be important for them.
Okay, so your score prediction is what?
I'm going to go 3-1 Chelsea.
I'm a bit torn on this one. I think there will be plenty of goals in it. I fancy Ings to get a couple against that defence, as you alluded to. I'm going to go 2-2. Why not? I'm going to mix it up. I'm going to say a 2-all draw. Okay, so let's take you through the lineups then. Chelsea making those 4 changes to the side that beat Crystal Palace 4-0 before the international break. Kepa Arrizabalaga, after all of his woes and issues, is back in goal because the man bought to replace him, Edouard Mendy, is injured. Andreas Christensen, the Dane, returns at the back. Christian Pulisic, great to have the American back. He's been struggling with a niggly hamstring, but as we understand it, a couple of good weeks of training at Cobham, he is back and starts. Loads of excitement about that for the 22-year-old who's so talented. Equally talented, arguably, or close to it, is Mason Mount, who scored for England a couple of days ago. He returns as well to the starting 11. Tammy Abraham and Callum Hudson-Odoi drop down to the bench. There's no Mendy, and the veteran defender Thiago Silva is rested. So it's Kepa in goal, Azpilicueta, Christensen, Zuma and Chilwell at the back, Conte and Jorginho in midfield, Havertz, Mount and Pulisic supporting the aforementioned Timo Werner up front, Caballero, Abraham, Fikayo Tomori, Olivier Giroud, Hudson-Odoi, Hakim Ziyech and Reece James is the Chelsea bench. We had our traditional honouring of the Black Lives Matter movement as the players took a knee just before kick-off. And we are underway. Peter Banks is your referee. Chelsea in this first half here on Premier League Live. They're kicking from left to right in their traditional all blue shirts, all blue shorts and white socks. Southampton from right to left in their change kit. It is predominantly white this year with a very fetching, it's got to be said, diagonal red sash across the front, red trim, and the similar kind of situation for the shirts, for the socks and for the shorts, which again are white with a little bit of red trim. Southampton, meanwhile, 2 changes to the team that beat West Brom 2-0 before the international break. Those changes see Nathan Redmond come in and Theo Walcott's first Southampton appearance for 14 years. The talented teen left at 17 for Arsenal, and of course he moved on once more to Everton. Didn't really work out at Goodison. He's been loaned back to Southampton, where he's full of intent, even at 31, and hunger, he says, to show he can still cut it at the highest level. They're the players in. Stuart Armstrong is still recovering from coronavirus, and Moussa Djinepo, who scored in the win against the Baggies, he is injured. Those are the changes. You're missing not too much, by the way, at the moment in terms of the action, bit of head tennis in front of us as Chelsea try to formulate the first attack of the game. The ball ricochets off Pulisic and out for a Southampton throwaway to our left. So it's Alex McCarthy in goal, Kyle Walker-Peters, Ryan Bertrand, Yannick Vestergaard and Jan Bednarek at the back, Oriol Romeu and James Ward-Prowse, Walcott and Bertrand supporting Shea Adams and Danny Ings up front. The red-hot England striker also scored for the Three Lions during the international break. The Southampton bench is Fraser Forster, Jack Stevens, Shane Long, Michael Ebafemi, Jan Valery, Nathan Teller and Ibrahima Diallo, who could well make his debut. We'll talk about him a bit later in the game. Now, Chelsea have just switched the passage of play from left to right. Here is Cesar Azpilicueta, the club captain, plays the ball off Redmond and out for a Chelsea throw on the far side, just inside the Southampton half. Andreas Christensen with a flat pass infield on the edge of the centre circle to his central defensive teammate Kurt Zuma. And we're back to Christensen. What have you made so far of the opening stages, Hogan?
Yeah, I think Chelsea are going to have the ball. Southampton, like I said, they'll press them high, but Chelsea's so comfortable in possession, and now Pulisic is running through. Here's a chance.
Here's a beautiful move as far as Ben Chilwell, shot on target from the England left back, and a volley is punched clear. That's excellent defending and goalkeeping from McCarthy in Southampton. It was Havertz who fired in the rebound after Chilwell's original effort. Finally the flag goes up for offside, but that chance, certainly the initial one, definitely would have counted.
Yeah, well, that's what Chelsea can do, because they keep the ball so well that they can suck you in and then open up the space. Chilwell in a great position there. Nice save from McCarthy. But Chelsea have lined up with Mason Mount on the left and Pulisic on the right. I'm a bit surprised by that. I would have liked to see Pulisic running at Kyle Walker-Peters a bit more, and Mount played well for England on the right in midweek, so maybe that's something that'll be interchangeable during the game.
Yeah, they've certainly got three players, haven't they, behind the front man who can all interchange, and even the man who's playing up front in Werner can easily slot into the three behind the striker as well, which is what happened against Crystal Palace when Tammy Abraham started. Talk about an abundance of talent and an embarrassment of riches and options, I guess.
Yeah, and you see the top teams nowadays, whether that be Liverpool, Manchester United, Arsenal, Manchester City, they're so interchangeable, the front three. They like the fluidity, these managers, and that's something that Lampard's got now. He has so many options going forward, and these players, they can play off the cuff.
3.5 minutes gone on Premier League Live. Welcome to West London, to Stamford Bridge. Chelsea 0, Southampton 0. Theo Walcott still trying to get his first meaningful touch back in a Southampton shirt, and he's hacked down by N'Golo Kante for a free kick. He's still waiting for it.
Yeah. I'm glad to see Theo back there. It's his home club. Like you said, he didn't have a great time at Everton. He gets a lot of unfair stick, Theo, for not fulfilling his potential, but people have to remember he scored over 100 goals for Arsenal from playing out wide, and that's no mean feat. So I hope that he hits his best form at Southampton.
Southampton don't do much with that free kick. They try to be a bit over clever for me, play it short, and in the end Chelsea win it back and get a throw midway inside their own half on the far side. And yeah, having covered particularly Arsenal, Theo, a lot, two issues for me. I'll tell you in a second, because here is an opportunity set up by Walcott to Danny Ings, who cuts inside, and Ings just lost his footing up against Christensen when he thought about pulling the trigger. Little glimmer there for Southampton, started by Walcott.
Yeah, that'll give them confidence. Danny Ings, he'll know he can get the beating of these two centre-halves, and it was a nice ball from Theo, and he's unlucky there, Ings. Christensen just did enough in the end.
Yeah, two issues for me for Theo. Number one was the injuries. Every time he had a good run and looked confident, he seemed to get hurt and miss a chunk. The other is when he did occasionally play as the 9 centrally as he fancied. He's an instinctive kind of finisher, but if you give him time to think, for me, he then doesn't stick the chances away.
I totally agree with you, yeah. I did put... Oh, here we go.
Great opportunity for a second, bent into Pulisic, who immediately puts the thumbs up to Chilwell for a sumptuous delivery. Asking a bit too much of the American. Did well to gain some ground to get a header in, but it's high and wide of goal. Please continue.
Yeah, just going back to that, it's a perfect run from Pulisic. That's the one you want from your wide men, from out to in between the fullback and the centre-half, and that's where you get your goals. But I was fortunate enough to play with Theo for a couple of years in the England youth setup, and his finishing, like you said, instinctively was unbelievable. And if he could just keep that same composure when clean through, his goal rate would be even higher. But a player that I can't speak highly enough of, unbelievable professional, and I think that's what Southampton know. They're getting a guy who will look after himself and fantastic pro, so I expect him to hit good form at Southampton.
A guy I've done a fair bit of media work with in his younger career, and I've got to say a very amiable and friendly and nice bloke as well. Would you agree with that?
Most definitely, yeah. Someone comes from a great family, they'll be extremely proud of what he's done and what he's achieved and how he conducts himself, because he's a credit to them.
Okay, so at 31 years young, potentially, he can stay fit. This could be a very interesting signing. Back on loan, where it all began, when he shot onto the scene as that incredibly talented 16-year-old, and remember was taken to a World Cup, wasn't he, by Sven-Göran Eriksson. Was it 18, which clearly probably wasn't the right move, because I don't think he featured, but that was an incredible story as well. Anyway, Southampton with Walcott are doing some chasing now, trying to close down some time and space and press and deny Chelsea time on the ball. The Blues just beneath our vantage point here on Premier League Live, moving the ball quickly and continuing to do so. Nice touch from Havertz, exchange of passes, and it's flicked just across the face of goal. What an opportunity potentially. Timo Werner maybe in two minds as to whether to shoot or to cross, fizzed just wide of the post, and that was excellent.
Chelsea look real slick going forward. Chilwell starts it off there, linking up with Kai Havertz. Mason Mount gets involved. He rolls in a nice side sidewall pass to Werner, and it's kind of a cross shot. I think Pulisic was coming in on the back stick, and maybe he could have got his head up and looked over. But they do look slick, and they look very fluid going forward.
Yeah, we've seen a couple of instances now where, after kind of comparative parity between the two, suddenly Chelsea just blow things wide open, don't they? Chelsea have that ability to just suddenly turn things in the blink of an eye, but they're back defending for now. Good work on the far side under pressure from Nathan Redmond, who finds Ryan Bertrand. Shea Adams' offload as far as Theo Walcott, who cuts inside one player, beats a second. He was fouled. Advantage wisely played as Adams fires in a shot. Ings was waiting to pounce. Kepa Arrizabalaga with the save, and he pushes it wide of the on-rushing striker as well. Good keeping from the recalled man, and Adams close to a Southampton opener.
Big save for him. That'll do him the world of good, get his confidence up, but I don't want to jinx it. Your shout of 2-2 is looking a good shout. The game started well. Southampton look a threat. Chelsea look very, very good going forward. So we're in for a good game here.
Yeah, both teams showing potential to suddenly blow it wide open and go from effectively central midfield in a congested area to through on goal. We have seen some really nice slick moves and some good sharp final deliveries to get players through on goal. Good chances for both teams so far, none taken. But 8 minutes 45 gone. Chelsea 0, Southampton 0 on Premier League Live. I agree with Hogan Ephraim. We could be in for a very interesting afternoon. Here comes Southampton again. Carl Walker-Peters, the man signed from Spurs, is upended by N'Golo Kante, who's already, of course, hacked down Walcott. And for me, Kante perhaps lucky not to be yellow-carded. 2 pretty niggly fouls. He's talked to by the ref, but he doesn't get booked.
Yeah, I would say 3. He got Theo Walker early on, then he just got him on the edge of the box, and then on Carl Walker-Peters there. I think the next one he will be going into the book. Kante is a massive player for Chelsea. He hasn't, obviously, he's had his fitness issues the last year or so, but if they can get him back to his best, that'll be a massive help.
And I'm sure as a lot of our listeners around the world know that best, including winning the title, where he was just outstanding in his role for Leicester City. That was just absolutely priceless what he did in that title team, wasn't it?
Yeah, no, he was incredible. Since he's come to this country, he's been unbelievable, and I just hope he can regain his best form, because there's no doubt in the role that he plays, he is the best in the world when fully fit and at his best.
Here come Chelsea again. Jorginho with a sumptuous through ball as Piliqueta tries to slide it through as far as Kai Havertz. Havertz just miscontrols slightly, but Chelsea are hungry for the ball. Mason Mount won it back, found Kante, who tried to slide it through as far as Werner. Again, these Chelsea players, these attackers, buzzing, swarming around the ball. As in the end, Chilwell is upended by Walker-Peters right in front of Frank Lampard, who wasn't too happy, but good sportsmanship, high five between the two. And no more than a Chelsea free kick, which the Blues move quickly right in front of their boss and former midfielder Lampard. Chelsea try to switch the passage of play again from left to right, but Southampton react quickly, forcing the Blues back. Christensen to Zuma to Chilwell, who's suddenly under pressure. And there is N'Golo Kante, what he does so brilliantly, as we talked about, sniffing out the danger, hoovering up the threat, and just calmly easing the situation. Ball is played all the way downfield. As we crane our necks to our left, Southampton's goalkeeper, Alex McCarthy, picks it up on the edge of his box, plays it out as far as Jan Bednarek, the big Pole. He's put under sizable pressure from Werner, who's certainly hungry himself to press and put pressure on the Southampton rear guard. Will eventually out for another throw in front of Ralph Hasenhüttl, the Southampton manager, which Theo Walcott will take in just a second. 11 minutes gone. It's Chelsea 0, Southampton 0. As we mentioned, at TalkSport Live, keep your tweets coming in from around the world. DJ Keefe says, Theo's not had a meaningful touch since he left Arsenal. Great commentary, guys, listening while cleaning my boat on Miami Beach. Those 4 of the 13 speakers are being broadcast in our boatyard. Excellent work. Very nice picture of Miami Beach of his boat with those speakers, Hogan, booming out our commentary. What a lovely place to be.
Think of a lot worse places to be than in Miami on a boat right now.
On your own boat?
Yeah.
With 4 massive speakers.
Unbelievable day.
DJ, excellent work, my friend. Wherever you're listening, drop us a picture, drop us a tweet at TalkSport Live. We love to hear from you. We've got loads more to rattle through over the course of the game. Now on the far side, Ryan Bertrand, of course, himself, formerly of Chelsea. As is Oriol Romeu. A couple of the players who came through at the bridge couldn't get the game time they necessarily wanted and moved on. They are both playing against their former club today, and it's Romeu, the bald-headed Spaniard wearing 6, a big enforcer himself, who's back into the team under Hasenhüttl in recent times. He spreads the ball out wide. Bertrand with a lovely delivery. There's a missed kick there from Christensen. Ings and Adams not a million miles away from reacting to that. Christensen been a bit shaky, having shot onto the scene. He's never recovered from a couple of gaffes in the Champions League for me.
No, you're right. When he came onto the scene, he burst onto the scene, really. He looked unbelievable, so composed and good on the ball. But he looks like his confidence has been shattered a bit. And any time the ball goes in the Chelsea box, these Southampton forwards will be alive. And
here is Walcott with a cross shot, which is actually blocked by Christensen to his credit. Iffy clearance from Zuma off Walcott again. And the Frenchman Zuma, perhaps rather fortunate, the ball ricocheted back to him. And again, not to the buzzing Ings and Adams, who were again hoping to snaffle and pick up the secondary ball. But this end-to-aim game continues because Southampton have lost possession ultimately. And Chelsea have worked it downfield in the blink of an eye. Pulisic to Werner to Havertz. Mount's ball over the top is a beautiful one to Chilwell, who's unmarked, puts in another dangerous delivery. It's half cleared, chested down by Mount, who thought about the shot. Mount instead finds Kante. Back to Chilwell, another lovely delivery, and this time the ball is not kept out, but it will not stand for offside. It was Havertz's header. Initial save from McCarthy, couldn't keep it out, but he was offside, and Werner's goal does not count.
It's a great ball in from Chilwell. That's what he offers you, real quality on the ball. Initially thought he was offside, and as you can see, he is there.
Not much in it, but probably half a yard.
Yeah, probably half a yard. He's gone just a bit too early, but fantastic quality from Chilwell, and that's the different options Chelsea have. They can play through you, as we know, but they've also got quality out wide, especially when Reece James is playing as well. On both sides, you'll have him and Chilwell, and they can deliver great quality.
So Timo Werner, whose header it was, that was not quite saved by McCarthy. The goal doesn't stand, as we say. Werner with one goal for Chelsea. That was in the League Cup. He is yet to score in the Premier League since his big move from RB Leipzig. Similar actually for Kai Havertz as well, since his big move from Bayer Leverkusen, the two young German internationals. Havertz has scored 3 times, but again, all in the League Cup. He scored a hat-trick in one of the earlier rounds. Neither has yet to score in the Premier League. Not had a lot of time, clearly yet. Only game 5, and they've not played in all of them either. But we shall see if either of those two big additions can open their top-flight account today, Hogan.
Yeah, I think they need a goal to get up and running and get the confidence up.
Lovely turn, talking of that, from Werner, who'll be frustrated he didn't score before. Took Bednarek out of the game. He twists, he turns, he beats 2, he beats 3! Oh, what a goal! What a goal from Timo Werner, and there is his first Premier League strike. He made an absolute mincemeat out of Bednarek, turned, beat players left, right and centre, and on the swivel, into the corner past McCarthy. It's Chelsea 1, Southampton 0.
That's absolutely ridiculous from Werner there. I think that's what he has to do, get down the sides of those centre-halves. The bit of skill to let it run through his legs is amazing, and then the composure to keep checking until the time's right to get his finish off, drills it across his body, which is obviously going to generate more power. It's just absolutely world-class play from Timo Werner.
Wow, there's us questioning when his first Premier League goal will come, and the answer, I'd say, is 45 seconds later, roughly.
Yeah, no, it's an outstanding goal. What a way to open your account, and he's shown in the flash there what he's all about. He's got trickery, he's got unbelievable pace, and he can keep his composure, and the finish is brilliant as well, because after all the hard work, he places that, he knows exactly what he's doing. So outstanding from Timo Werner.
Jan Bednarek is not the quickest defender. He's a very good player and a very forceful professional, the pole, but my goodness, he was absolutely done all ends up there, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was, and I think Werner would have known before the game that he can really exploit the channels of these two centre-halves. So when that ball's come into him, he's probably foreseen that before the game and thought, if that comes in and they're getting touch tight to me, as they will be in big centre-halves, he can let it run and expose them for pace, and he's done it magnificently there, and it's just a brilliant goal.
Wow, absolutely superb goal that from Timo Werner. It's his second of the season, his first in the Premier League. And Chelsea lead Southampton 1-0. We have played 16 and a half minutes here on Premier League Live. What will Southampton's response be, I wonder? Redmond trying to combine down the far side with Ryan Bertrand, taking an advanced position, the left back against his former club. But Chelsea pretty easily win that ball back, and are happy on this occasion to just thump the ball downfield, but it went out of play pretty early, so Bertrand actually gets a throw, still well inside the Chelsea half. Danny Ings leaps for it, loses out to Jorginho, the striker just stretching and given a little bit too much work to do. Now Chelsea win the free kick. Oriol Romeu brings down his man, and Romeu, like N'Golo Kante, he likes a tough tackle as well, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. Very physical player. Good on the ball too. You could tell that he had his schooling at Barcelona.
Yep.
Come through very good on the ball and comfortable. But he's had a good career for himself at Southampton, because things didn't work out at Chelsea. He got
an injury at one point, didn't he, which didn't help his progress, if memory serves.
Yeah, because he started to play a few games, got the injury, and then it just never really worked out for him. But he's gone to Southampton, had a very good Premier League career, and he's a big part to play in what they do.
Yep, completely agree with those sentiments. Kai Havertz's ball over the top, looking for Chilwell. Chilwell rose above Kyle Walker-Peters, but on this one occasion, one of those rotating, interchanging Chelsea forwards was able to make a run. And Chilwell's header, that was nodded toward the edge of the 6-yard box in the end, trickled comfortably into the gloves of the goalkeeper Alex McCarthy. 18 gone, Chelsea 1, Southampton 0. If you missed it earlier, Everton 2, Liverpool 2 in the Merseyside derby. What a game. And a controversial disallowed goal for Liverpool late on after Everton had been reduced to 10 men. Henderson's goal not standing. Richarlison given his marching orders for the home team. Everton on top of the table, Liverpool second, but Chelsea could join them. They're looking for a second already. Pulisic next, ripped from distance, about 15 yards out, an acute angle. And I think that took a ricochet back off the defender for a corner, or did it hit the American last? I'm not entirely sure, but it was a nice move regardless.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be a Southampton defender today. These Chelsea forwards, they're moving all over the place. There's so much interchangeability between them. They look so fast, and they're just quick in everything they do, physically and in their decision making. So this is going to be a tough game.
Well, it is a corner, but I have to say, looking at the replay, I thought that touched Pulisic last. But anyway, the corner has been awarded. Can Chelsea make the most of that? Ben Chilwell has an excellent left foot, the England left back. Short delivery looking for Christensen, who got there. Half-hearted appeals maybe for a penalty, as Christensen was, I say blocked, but the man who blocked him, whichever Southampton defender is prone on the floor, appears to have come off the worst. That's Kyle Walker-Peters. Did he take one in the midriff there, I think?
Yeah, I think so. That's just a coming together. I don't think there was anything too sinister in it. What wasn't the greatest delivery from Ben Chilwell. You expect a bit more from him and his left foot there.
Particularly after I talked him up.
Yeah.
Always happens.
Commentator's curse.
At least we got the one for the goal right there. We teed up the fact that he hadn't scored in the Premier League yet, and he did for us moments later. So we'll certainly give Timo Werner that. Now, Ben Chilwell, of course, signed from Leicester City, been an England left back for a good while, was heavily linked to Manchester City, but Chelsea got him instead. We'll come back to that story in a moment, because here comes Southampton. Good play from Nathan Redmond to Danny Ings, and Ings, I think, had taken a little knock on his ankle and was hobbling, and as a result just hurried his attempt to try and get rid of the ball, passed it straight back to Chelsea. They've lost out. Southampton win it back through Bertrand, back to Ings, who looks okay now as he whips in the cross looking for Shea Adams. It was over Adams, but only as far as Oriol Romeu for Southampton, edge of the D. In the end, the ball goes awry, and it's all the way back to halfway, and Southampton are forced to formulate another attack, but they do so quickly. Just over 20 minutes gone. Chelsea 1, Southampton 0. Now Saints forced all the way back to deep inside their own territory. Let's just go back to whether or not Ings has perhaps slightly impeded there with a knock as he tried to play that ball through. Ball over the top. Here comes Southampton again. This is Kyle Walker-Peters. Theo Walcott getting stuck in. Chilwell with a good sliding challenge. Got the ball, but did he get a bit of the man as well? That's always the danger, isn't it, these days? If it's deemed reckless or dangerous, even if you win the ball, you can still give something away.
Yeah, it looked like a tackle on first viewing, but I think the referees maybe got it right.
I guess by current rules, if your studs are up, you might still be penalised.
When you come inside on, it's always the case that you might nick a little bit of the player. So this is a great position for Southampton. Ward-Prowse, one of the best set piece takers, if not the best in the Premier League. So this will be a big chance for Southampton.
Keeper Arrizabalaga back in the Chelsea goal is screaming out a few instructions to his fellow defenders. Of course, Edouard Mendy came in, having been signed from Rennes, the Senegalese, and immediately kept a clean sheet. He's now injured. Ward-Prowse's delivery, it was nicely struck. It's headed half clear. Nathan Redmond can hit them from distance, and he let rip, and it was a super block from Christian Pulisic, who properly put his body on the line. It's back with Ward-Prowse, the Southampton captain, who cuts infield this time and beats N'Golo Kante. Mason Mount as well to track him and stay with him, forcing Ward-Prowse into a lateral sideways run. He then goes to the left to Nathan Redmond, the man who hit that shot a moment ago. As far as Shea Adams, the big signing from Birmingham City, striker who took a while to get going last season, but when he did, scored a glut of goals toward the end of the last campaign. Hasn't scored in this one so far. And in the end, Havertz has been upended. Chelsea will get the free kick and the chance to breathe a little sigh of relief. A lengthy period for the home team on the back foot there.
Yeah, it was a good little spell that for Southampton, and that will give them encouragement. Havertz getting a bit fortunate with that free kick. His touch wasn't the greatest, and just to coming together with Vestergaard. But Chelsea want to get back on the ball now, keep it ticking over. I think this is where Jorginho is important. He's one of the best conductors in the Premier League at controlling the tempo of a game, so he needs to start knitting it all together for Chelsea.
Yeah, we completely agree with that. We've had 8 fouls in the game already, 4 each. That's been quite niggly. We're pretty much exactly halfway through the first half, and both teams, as well as having some creative intent and some passion, they're not frightened to get stuck in either, are they?
No, I think that's something I like about both sides as well. They can do both sides of the game, and it just sets up for a great game. It's not going to be easy for either side.
Powerful header clear from Christensen. I think it was against Real Madrid he made that gap, didn't he? And then, as we said, his confidence maybe he's never quite recovered, but he's been playing more often than not recently for Chelsea, particularly with Antonio Rudiger, for whatever reason, out in the cold and not featuring. Of course, he's been playing for Denmark as well. Did so in their win against England a few days ago. He had a slightly rickety moment at one point. Was it in and around Harry Maguire's red card, if memory serves, wasn't it?
Yeah, you're right. But going back to what you said, I get really confused that Rudiger is just completely left out of the Chelsea team.
Now, the entire squad, but he's also not gone anywhere during the window either.
Yeah, it's a strange one for me, that. I think, I'm not saying he's the answer to all their problems, but he'd probably be the first centre-half I'd pick for Chelsea, so I'm not sure if there's something that's gone on behind the scenes, or if maybe the manager just doesn't fancy him, but I think that he could be a real help to this Chelsea team.
Yeah, I would agree. Young Fikayo Tomori on the bench as well is another talented player who's been loaned out and come back via Derby. And a decent part of that academy crop that's really getting its chance under Frank Lampard, and particularly did last season during the transfer embargo. Now, Cesar Spilicueta has come steaming in on James Ward-Prowse. It was after a nice Chelsea attack that was started on the far side from Christian Pulisic. But impressed with him since he's returned. I mentioned that niggly hamstring for a couple of weeks, and you can see the American's trained hard and he's looking much sharper. It takes a while to get back to your sharpest at this level in this league, doesn't it?
Yeah, most definitely. And he's someone who needs to be at his absolute sharpest, because he's got that half a yard of pace which can trouble defenders massively. He's so instinctive as well, so when he's full fit and firing, there's not too many better wide men in the Premier League for me.
Okay, 25 gone. Chelsea 1, Southampton 0. And here come Chelsea looking for a second. Chilwell again, who's been another excellent outlet during this game, just as he was on his Premier League debut for Chelsea before the international break, where he scored one and assisted one in that 4-0 win over Crystal Palace. A few issues on the international break, which we'll come to maybe in a moment, but Chelsea very much on an attacking foot again. From left to right, back to Pulisic again, who wins the throw and takes it quickly. Here's Mason Mount juggling the ball from left to right, beats 2 players quite brilliantly. Another dangerous looking cross shot. The ball is loose as Mount tries to get his shot away. Werner was there hoping to poke it home for a second goal. Really nice football once more. Pulisic had continued his run and was screaming for it. And in the end it's miscontrolled by Timo Werner. But Chelsea almost with an embarrassment of riches and too many options there as they put Southampton's defence to the sword.
Yeah, they're in the mood today, Chelsea, and there's going to be real chances in this game for them. I think people like Timo Werner, he'll be licking his lips and thinking he can get 2 or 3 today. Every time they go forward, they look menacing. Southampton doing well just to get bodies in the way there. Carl Walker-Peters, who started the game very well, to be fair to him, twice making vital interceptions in his own 6-yard box there, so he's done his team a great service.
Yeah, Southampton under huge pressure at the moment. They've certainly given a decent amount in this game, but on the whole, Chelsea have just looked so potent, so threatening whenever they have come surging forward. The options that they bring to the table, the diversity of their attack, really is something to behold. Chilwell under pressure from Walcott, has to go back to his goalkeeper, Kepa Arrizabalaga. Kepa largely solid, very solid with the ball at his feet, and again there, left-footed, nice clearance downfield under pressure as Walcott tried to close him down. As you well know, it's been shot-saving, shot-stopping that's been Kepa's problem. So the lowest percentage rates, Hogan, of any team, any goalkeeper in Europe's top 5 leagues in terms of goals and shots on target that he leaks, and that was the big issue, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's a staggering stat, and you don't expect that from someone who costs so much money. And
£71 million.
Yeah, the most expensive goalkeeper in the world, you're not expecting that. He's not the biggest of figures. And to be fair, I don't even think he's that great on the ball, to be honest. When you compare him to the likes of Ederson or Alisson, he's not nowhere near that same level. So I'm not sure who it was that made the decision to pay that £71 million for him, but he's also another player whose confidence looks shot to pieces, and you don't like to see that for any footballer. So hopefully he can regain some form if he keeps his place in the team.
Well, you've got to take your chances, haven't you? Because Edouard Mendy was brought in to certainly replace him for now, and obviously the game before Mendy even arrived, Kepa had been dropped and the veteran Willy Caballero was in goal. So in some senses you could say Kepa had dropped down to third choice, but interesting, it's not Caballero, it's Kepa who comes in when Mendy gets injured. This almost feels like a slight last chance saloon. We'll come back to that in a second, because this could be a second goal. Werner! Oh, it's so classy from Timo Werner. Long ball over the top. Poor defending from Southampton. The German keeps his composure, flicks it over the advancing keeper and guides the ball majestically into the empty net. It's another goal for Timo Werner. It's Chelsea 2, Southampton 0.
Just an unbelievable striker. The running behind, the pace. Yeah, yes, it is a defensive mistake, but once he gets in on goal, the composure to then just flick it over the goalkeeper is brilliant. Jorginho's pass here, here's what we was talking about, being a conductor. He knows that he can get Werner in behind these two centre-backs all day long, and then the composure there is just outstanding, and you'd fancy him to go on now and get at least another goal, maybe another two. He just looks so on it today. Jorginho, fantastic pass, 2 great goals for Chelsea.
And it's poor old Jan Bednarek again, the man who was turned all ends up for the first, and it's he who then struggles with that long ball over the top from Jorginho for the second. This is not a game that he's going to remember, is it? Or not remember well. You remember it for some very different reasons at the moment. Cold sweats in the middle of the night. Oh my goodness, is there going to be a third? As you say, Chelsea very much in the mood here. Havertz forward to Christian Pulisic. Jorginho's through ball to Mason Mount. Oh, it's a decent bit of defending initially by Ryan Bertrand, who won the ball back but then slipped, lost it. Mount knows he was in an offside position, so make sure he doesn't try and claim the ball. That gave Southampton the chance to try and clear it, but another rickety, slightly confused clearance from Bertrand this time. Ward-Prowse eventually wins it, the skipper, finds Theo Walcott. He attempts to play a 1-2 with Kyle Walker-Peters, but Walker-Peters' return ball is overhit. Kurt Zouma easily gets back and plays it back to Kepa, his recalled goalkeeper. Christensen continues to snuff out the danger, and Chelsea very adeptly play themselves out of danger. This was excellent football from the Blues, who surge forward once more. Chilwell again in space. Here's the double goal scorer, Timo Werner, left-footed, ball to N'Golo Kante. Now to Kai Havertz. More intelligent, pretty football here from the Stamford Bridge boys. Pulisic out to the far side to Mount, now to Havertz, shot from an acute angle, decides not to pull the trigger because he knows it came off a Southampton shirt last, and the ball trickles behind for another corner. They are queuing up now.
Yeah, I just love the variety of their attacks. They've obviously got the pace of Werner. They have the skill and the creativity, whether it be Mount or Pulisic, and they have Havertz in behind, who's also very good at that. He's an aerial threat on the bench. You look at Tammy Abraham, Giroud, different options, just got so much going forward, and you're going into games as the opposition just not knowing what threat you're going to be dealing with today.
Chilwell will take the corner. It's a slightly deeper delivery this time. Oh, header on target from Kurt Zouma. It was a very powerful effort, and Alex McCarthy, flinging himself to his left, makes the save, and sprawling claws it behind for another corner.
Yeah, Chelsea getting chances at will now. Southampton, they need to get themselves together and maybe just sit in for 5 minutes, because at the minute Chelsea could run away with this.
He scored 2 goals, Kurt Zouma, this season already. Very nearly got a third. Of course, went to Everton for a while, now back and doing pretty well. Swinging delivery, deeper corner this time from Chilwell. It was too deep, it was too high, and Alex McCarthy came out and made a very, very good play. Strong tackle as well, as the ball goes flying out of play, thumps the advertising hoarding for a throw. Frank Lampard has come out to bark a few instructions out to his players. He actually doesn't look that happy, does he? I thought he would be at 2-0, but maybe not.
Yeah, he doesn't look too happy. Even with the first goal that Werner scored, he seemed to throw the water bottle. I think that was more in celebration now.
Furrowed brow from Frank.
Yeah, I think Werner finally getting off the mark would have been good for him. He'll hope Havertz can join him as well, getting his first Premier League goal. But I think Chelsea have been good. There has been times where Southampton will get encouragement. I think they can get at Chelsea, but all in all, I think Chelsea put in a good performance in the opening 32 minutes.
Southampton were on the back foot again, and fair play to Danny Ings, who obviously hasn't seen a huge amount of the ball up front, but he came scurrying back to halfway and at least won it back for his team to give Southampton some time on the ball. They started fairly brightly when it was all kind of end-to-end and toe-to-toe, but over the last 15-20 minutes, Chelsea completely on top. Long ball forward from the other centre-half, Yannick Vestergaard, who I guess has been quietly getting on with his business while Bednarek has struggled. Or could you look at it the flip way and say that Bednarek has been excessively exposed and maybe not necessarily always helped out by his mate at the back? I'm not sure.
It just seems that Werner's pulling on to Bednarek, whether he thinks that that's the weak link there. Vestergaard is probably the more physical of the two, so I'd be the same as Werner. I'd be trying to stay away from him, but he's a midfielder's dream, because you can play them first time passes round the corner just knowing he's going to make the run in behind. He doesn't always want to be fancy and come to feet and link stuff. He wants to be on that shoulder, running into the space where chances come and goals are scored.
Jack Stevens started the season in the back four for Southampton and eventually lost his place, I think if memory serves, to Bednarek, and I wonder if we'll be seeing a switch possibly even during this game. Neat little run from Danny Ings, but as he cut inside Kurt Zouma, the offside flag was lifted. Ings frustrated, but again, a Southampton move comes to nothing. Wouldn't rule out a half-time move from Ralph Hasenhüttl. He's done it before, hasn't he?
Yeah, I would expect so, because at the minute Chelsea, they could run riot. I don't think Werner's finished with a goal scoring today. Mount, Pulisic, Havertz, they're going to want to be getting in on the yak, so they look really, really in the mood today, Chelsea, so I wouldn't be surprised if he does make a change.
Would Jack Stevens be the second half sacrificial lamb? We shall have to wait and see. Lovely ball over the top from Jorginho again, as far as Chilwell, who controls it majestically with his left boot. Mount, his fellow England international, is there on the overlap. Little 1-2 back to Chilwell. Southampton trucking back to try and put Chelsea under pressure. Conte's delivery nodded clear. Not the best ball on that occasion from the Frenchman. Ball is won back, but illegally by Cesar Azpilicueta, who came in on Nathan Redmond. Got a bit of the ball, but got a fair bit of the man as well. And Southampton get a free kick just inside their own half. I'll go back to Chilwell. I was going to mention to you before a chance emerged. Of course, he was part of this 23rd birthday party, wasn't he, alongside Tammy Abraham, whose birthday it was, and Jadon Sancho, and all told to stay away from England training ahead of the international break because of breaking COVID-19 protocols. So Chilwell missed one game for that, and he had an injury, didn't feature. His international break, given his brilliant form, was actually a bit of a disaster, wasn't it? So it's interesting to have him back and see him playing so well after what must have been a difficult couple of weeks, I would have thought.
Yeah, most definitely. He's a fantastic player, and it was an unbelievable signing for Chelsea, because I'm sure a lot of teams would have wanted him. You mentioned Manchester City. I could picture Manchester United wanting him. So it's a great acquisition. A bit silly of him to break the rules like he did. I don't understand why, when people are breaking the rules, they're publicising it on social media as well. So I don't think Lampard would have been too happy, or Gareth Southgate, in that respect. And it's good that he's just back out on the pitch now, and he's playing very well, so he looks like he's at his best. Yeah,
just his second start, we shouldn't forget, in the Premier League for Chelsea, after signing for big money from Leicester, who were gutted to lose him. But I guess when you get offered big money for a player like that, you've got to take it. His form for Leicester, probably just by his very, very best levels, tailed off a little bit. Certainly a couple of mates of mine who are Leicester fans and journalists have said that maybe toward the end you could see, even though he was still trotting out and not making big noises to leave, maybe his head had been slightly turned. That was slightly their perception. But anyway, he's at the bridge, and you would fancy for club and country he could be a proper stalwart for many, many years to come, Ben Chilwell.
I think it helps him when he passes the ball into the halfway line and his striker decides to take on 4 players and score and get him an assist. I think that helps.
Absolutely. Certainly puts you in the shop window and showcases you in a pretty positive light, doesn't it?
Yeah.
36 gone. Chelsea 2, Southampton 0. The voice of Hogan Ephraim, the former West Ham QPR and Toronto FC winger. Don't forget, we've got 2 more commentaries on Premier League Live later on today, on the return of the Premier League after the international break. 5:30 UK, so in just under 2 hours time, it's the wonderful Tom Rennie and Chris Perry guiding you through Manchester City against Arsenal. City normally win this game, apart from of course the FA Cup semi-final. Could it change league-wise given the form of these two? We shall see as Mikel Arteta heads back to his old stomping ground, in one sense, to link up with his old number one Pep Guardiola. And then 8 o'clock UK, Newcastle United against Manchester United, with Tim Long and the former United and England defender Paul Parker. Over the years, Newcastle Man U, you think of Keegan versus Fergie and many other games. It's been an absolute classic, so 2 really intriguing matches to bring you a bit later on, and of course all on the back of Man U before the break. Feels like a long time ago, but the team I believe secretly you support, of course, lost 6-1 to Spurs, didn't they? We'll come back to that in a moment, because here come Chelsea looking for a third. Can't take your eye off this game. Excellent work initially from Mason Mount, who wove his way to the edge of the box, couldn't get a shot away, found N'Golo Kante, now to Cesar Azpilicueta. On the far side, Kai Havertz, right foot to left foot, cuts inside. Romeo stands his ground well, though, and Southampton just about dispel the attack back to halfway. Yeah, Man U will have a big point to prove at St James's Park.
I was hoping Chelsea was going to score then, and you'd forget about that.
Have you been outed as a Man U fan, or have I just ruined your game, or do people know that around the world?
No, I think people know that around the world.
Fine.
Yeah,
I've done it to 1 or 2 who've told me afterwards they didn't want me to say, but okay, that's all right then.
No, it's been a long 2 weeks after that 6-1, so hopefully things can change today.
Yeah, well, Newcastle are no mugs this season. Some decent signings for once under Steve Bruce, who for me is just so undervalued in terms of the job he's done there. Yes, the style of play isn't great, but he's still not got a lot of tools at his disposal, plus a lot of injuries. And Newcastle have done pretty well this season, so Man U stripped there with the pressure certainly on Solskjaer on the back of that 6-1 loss. It will be very interesting. Anyway, Chelsea want a third. Havertz with a delightful turn to Werner on a hat-trick in the first half. He let rip from 10 yards, tight angle, was falling as he shot, and in the end it was just over the crossbar.
The turn from Havertz was special. It looked initially like I wasn't sure if he meant it, but he definitely knew what he was doing there. I think Werner, could he not backheel it into Havertz's paw?
Just tripping, isn't he? I think that's the key point.
Yeah, he's got the hat-trick in his sights as well. I don't think there was any chance he was going to pass it there. He has to go low and hard across the face of goal, and even if the goalie saves it, there's going to be rebounds here to be had, so...
Yeah, that pitch cutting up with the bad weather that we talked about pre-match, in a little instance like that, probably didn't do him any favours.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Wow, Chelsea, 10 attempts on goal to Southampton's 3, and we've still got 6 minutes to go till half-time. They've been reigning in efforts of the Blues. And despite a couple of promising forays for Southampton, Chelsea very, very good value for their lead. Alex McCarthy, the Southampton goalkeeper, long flat ball downfield. Azpilicueta wins it against Redmond in the air. Begins another Chelsea attack. Here's Havertz up against the other centre-half in the form of Yannick Vestergaard. Vestergaard one-on-one actually did pretty well, because when you try and block and shepherd the attacker, it can easily end up in a penalty, can't it?
Yeah, he didn't look in a great position there defensively. So he'll
Bertrand helped him out actually, didn't he, to be fair?
Oh, massively, yeah. He got side on, and he was flat-footed, and that's the last stance you want to be in as a defender, so Bertrand would have done him the world of good there.
Ralph Hasenhüttl's now come from the bench and looking a little bit startled, I've got to say, with those beady blue eyes, arms folded just beneath us. He's looking out, probably internally with disbelief and horror, but externally trying to keep up a slightly calmer facade. His half-time team talk, I suspect, might be pretty brutal. We know that he's eased some of his toughness, perhaps when Southampton had that poor run of form, including the thumping at home by Leicester, the 9-0 last season. He admitted, didn't he, that he's almost changed some of his own approach to be a bit more communicative, to perhaps be, I wouldn't say kinder, but perhaps a bit of a better man manager. It was working for a while, but a game like this, it'll be interesting to see if he reverts to type or not at half-time. I really would love to be a kind of a fly on the wall in that Southampton dressing room.
Yeah, I'd be amazed if he didn't revert to type.
He's buttoned it for several months, and it's going to be when it all comes back out again.
I would not want to be a Southampton player at half-time. He does not look the happiest man in the world right now.
Particularly if you're Jan Bednarek, maybe, and possibly Vestergaard, if increasingly he's struggled too. Okay, 41 gone, Chelsea 2, Southampton 0. Remember earlier, Everton 2, Liverpool 2 in the derby, which doesn't tell anything like the whole story. N'Golo Kante for Chelsea wins it back, but then just overplays it as he tries to find the man who's on a hat-trick already, Timo Werner. Ball was cut out by James Ward-Prowse, and Ward-Prowse actually is going back and helping his centre-halves a fair bit, isn't he? He's everywhere, the captain.
Yeah, no,
he's got to be.
He's a real live wire, and he's the one who can dictate play for them. It's a great pass there.
It's a lovely ball over the top, absolutely, to Kyle Walker-Peters, the right back, and who took the place of Jan Valery after initially signing on loan and then permanently from Spurs. Header down from Bertrand, looking for Nathan Redmond on his return to the team. Redmond under pressure from two Chelsea players, just couldn't quite control it. Zuma it was who nicked in a boot And Southampton get the throw on the far side, about midway inside the Chelsea half. Bertrand's throw. As far as Shea Adams tried to protect it well, but ultimately lost out. Chelsea trying to go for another counter-attack, but they lose out, and Danny Ings gets one back in the blink of an eye for Southampton. It's what he is so good at, the England striker. Give him a sniff. He will take that chance. He rounds Kepa and guides the ball into the net. It's game back on at the Bridge. Chelsea 2, Southampton 1.
Massive goal for Southampton. The timing of that's perfect, but too languid there from Havertz. Does a nutmeg in the middle of the park, he's in cruise control. It's not good enough. He gets poked through to Ings, and you had no doubt he was going to score once through. Fantastic composure. I didn't know if he was going to lift it over the goalkeeper or go round him. He decides the latter of the two, and just brilliant from Danny Ings.
He's such a predatory finisher, isn't it? And it is such a delight to see him be so sharp, so fit, not just getting all these goals, but everyone to fully recognise and fully respect how good a player this guy is.
Yeah, no, he's been magnificent. The last 12 to 18 months he's been fantastic, and he's a massive reason why Southampton are still in the Premier League, in all honesty, because last season without him they would have been in trouble. But from the Chelsea point of view, they won't be happy with Havertz just looking so casual in the middle of the park, and Danny Ings puts...
Well, the German signings, both of them have talked about how the speed of the Premier League particularly is so different to the Bundesliga, and there's a classic example there. Walcott's delivery from the far side was a really clever cross. Kepa initially hesitated, then came and just about fisted it clear. He was under pressure and got his right glove to it. Southampton keep it in play on the far side through Redmond to Bertrand, back to Redmond again. Cesar Azpilicueta this time safety first, out for the throw for Southampton in another attacking position with a minute till half time. This has really turned Hogan.
No, it has, and they needed that before half time. If they went in 2-0 down, I think it would have been a long way back, but now this gives them hope for the second half. It probably calms the manager down a little bit as well, so that'll be good for the players, I guess. But they do look a threat going forward, Southampton. There's chances in this. Chelsea aren't convincing at the back.
Chelsea 2, Southampton 1. About 30 seconds plus time added on to go in the first half. It has been action-packed, this one. My apologies for only reading out one tweet. Intended to read several more. Just never get time in this game. We'll go to a few more, certainly at the break if nothing else. And it is Southampton still on the attack. Oriol Romeu to Ward-Prowse. Yannick Vestergaard far happier with offload to Romeu, remember, against his former club. Oh, good through ball, nearly found Theo Walcott, who was turning on the edge of the box. It was frustratingly half a yard behind the man making his second debut, and Theo just couldn't quite turn and get a hold of it, could he?
No, it looked like that was going to be a big chance there, but it was half a yard behind him, like you said. Southampton really coming into it now. They wouldn't want the half-time whistle to come. Chelsea just need to see it through another 2 minutes or so.
Exactly, we've got 2 additional minutes, as Hogan Ephraim says. First time cross, just trying to take Chelsea by surprise. Ings was lurking with intent, but it didn't get to him. Again, though, Chelsea's clearance was a little bit lackadaisical, not as sloppy as the work from Havertz that led to Southampton's goal, but it still wasn't great. Southampton have it again just inside the Chelsea half. Bednarek also looking a bit more happier and composed now that he's picking the ball up in a more forward position from centre half, and able to just press and dictate play a little bit more. Ball played forward from Walker-Peters to Theo Walcott. Another early cross off N'Golo Kante and out for a throw. Bit of joy down both flanks increasingly for Southampton as Walcott turns. Lucky ricochet, but he puts in the delivery. Can Kepa get there? He can. And that might be the final attack of the half. Kepa's going to take a while to get this one clear and have a bit of a breather.
Usually I'd say it's a poor cross, but with Kepa in goal, he wasn't convincing me, I'll be honest with you.
Anything into the box is a good cross, is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Harsh man.
I just think when you make him come for stuff, strikers can put him under pressure and anything can happen, so unfortunately for Southampton, not in that case.
Here come Chelsea. Here's Werner still on a hat-trick, left-footed delivery, and it was a nice ball. Pulisic and Mount were both surging in at the near post, and in the end I think it's taken a ricochet and gone behind for another corner. Pulisic was the man who got there. The American deflected wide for a fourth Chelsea corner, again end to end.
Yeah, Timo Werner, very reminiscent of Fernando Torres in his Liverpool days, where he wants to be on that shoulder, making them darting runs in behind. He stretches the game, and he's given the Chelsea midfield players a lot of joy.
Last play of the half, Chilwell's out-swinging delivery, half-headed clear to Mount. Will there be time for one more shot? Referee has his whistle to his mouth. The answer is no. And Chelsea lead Southampton at the break by 2-1. It's been a game with shots left, right and centre, the ball fizzing from one end to the other. Timo Werner with a delightful turn to make a bit of a fool of Bednarek for the opener. One ball over the top from Jorginho, with Bednarek again struggling. Werner flicking the second over McCarthy. As Chelsea ran riot and looked pretty rampant, Southampton, who'd plugged away and created a couple of chances, nicked one back through Danny Ings after some pretty sloppy play from Kai Havertz. It's 2-1, could easily be about 5-3, and we can't wait for the second half. At the break though, Chelsea 2, Southampton 1 on Premier League Live.
As darkness sweeps around the globe at 8 p.m. on the 18th of November, 25,000 people worldwide will pull their running shoes on to hit the road for a virtual 5 or 10k at Run in the Dark. I'm Mark Pollock, and by joining us to Run in the Dark this November, you'll be supporting the Mark Pollock Trust and our charity partner Collaborative Cures, whose mission it is to cure paralysis in our lifetime. Register now at runinthedark.org and get your medal, your flashing armband, and your Run in the Dark virtual timing app. Thank you.
Certainty. With Volkswagen commercial vehicles, it's included as standard. The Crafter, Transporter and the all-new 5th generation Caddy are more innovative, dynamic and efficient than ever before. Now with HB Finance from 0%, purchase contributions of up to €3,500 and service plans from €9.99. They're the smart next step for your business. For vans and offers you can rely on always. Contact your local Volkswagen commercial vehicles dealer or visit volkswagenvans.ie and leave the rest to us. Finance provided by way of hire purchase agreement from Volkswagen Financial Services Ireland and subject to lending criteria. Terms and conditions apply.
Get ready and hold on tight, because the Premier League is here! Which teams will stay on track and who'll go off the rail? Get the Irish Sun for top transfer news, exclusive star interviews and opinions from the biggest names in football, plus expert analysis of every action-packed match in our fantastic goals pull-out each weekend. Stay up to speed, because you never know what the Premier League is going to throw up. Pick up the Irish Sun today.
Demanding a high performance from your team? You should be demanding the same from your tires. The Irish Tyre Industry Association is urging motorists to stay safe this winter and check the condition of your tyres. You could even be liable for a fine and 2 penalty points if found driving with tyres below the legal tread depth limit of 1.6 millimetres. ITIA expert technicians will carry out a free tyre safety check to ensure your tyres are safe and legal. Visit itia.ie to find your local expert.
Grant has been providing reliable, efficient and affordable home heating technology for over 40 years. From the award-winning Grant Vortex condensing oil boiler to the highly efficient Arona heat pump, you can trust Grant to heat your home. Think heating, think Grant. Visit grant.eu.
We know everyone thinks this season's going to be different, but at Paddy Power, we're staying positive, because isn't the new normal just the same old football? Avoid unnecessary journeys? That's Fulham's trip to Anfield off. Self-isolate? Some strikers do that very effectively already. You see? New normal, same old football. And that's why with Paddy Power's ACCA Cracker, if one leg of your 4+ fold ACCA lets you down, you get a free bet on all football matches in all markets. Paddy Power. Max free bet €10. Min odds 1 to 5 on each leg. Online exclusive. Exclude shop bets. T's and C's apply. Need help? Contact gambling.care.ie. 18+.
You're listening to TalkSport's coverage of Chelsea against Southampton from Stamford Bridge. I'm your host, Russell Hargreaves, and alongside me is the former West Ham, QPR and Toronto FC winger Hogan Ephraim. This is Premier League Live. At half-time, Chelsea on course potentially to go joint second in the table, but they've not had it their own way entirely. It's been very, very eventful. Oh, lovely turn, talking of that, from Werner, who'll be frustrated he didn't score before. Took Bednarek out of the game. He twists, he turns, he beats 2, he beats 3! Oh, what a goal! What a goal from Timo Werner, and there is his first Premier League strike. He made an absolute mincemeat out of Bednarek, turned, beat players left, right and centre, and on the swivel, into the corner past McCarthy.
That's absolutely ridiculous from Werner there. I think that's what he has to do, get down the sides of those centre-halves. The bit of skill to let it run through his legs is amazing, and then the composure to keep checking until the time's right to get his finish off, drills it across his body, which is obviously going to generate more power. It's just absolutely world-class play from Timo Werner.
Werner! Oh, it's so classy from Timo Werner. Long ball over the top. Poor defending from Southampton. The German keeps his composure, flicks it over the advancing keeper and guides the ball majestically into the empty net. It's another goal for Timo Werner. It's Chelsea 2, Southampton 0.
Just an unbelievable striker. The running behind, the pace. Yeah, yes, it is a defensive mistake, but once he gets in on goal, the composure to then just flick it over the goalkeeper is brilliant.
Chelsea trying to go for another counter-attack, but they lose out. Danny Ings gets one back in the blink of an eye for Southampton. It's what he is so good at, the England striker. Give him a sniff. He will take that chance. He rounds Kepa, guides the ball into the net. It's game back on at the Bridge. Chelsea 2, Southampton 1. Yeah, Kai Havertz should have done a lot better, having lost out and sat there on his backside as Ings scored that one. I'm sure stinging rebukes from Mr. Lampard in his ears maybe at half-time, and perhaps Ralph Hasenhüttl's team talk not quite as brutal as we thought at 2-0, when it could have been about 3 or 4. 2-1. It's a very different story. Let's quickly look back then at the Merseyside derby, another epic encounter. Two teams right at the top of the table, the league leaders against the champions, and no love lost in front of John Anderson.
A thrilling 237th Merseyside derby saw Liverpool extend their unbeaten run over Everton to 23 games as Carlo Ancelotti's men twice came from behind to maintain their unbeaten start. Liverpool needed a riposte after the disaster against Aston Villa and quickly provided it through Sadio Mane's third-minute goal, his fourth of the season. Michael Keane equalised for Everton, rising to head home James Rodriguez corner, but Mo Salah restored the lead with his 100th Liverpool goal. But the irrepressible Dominic Calvert-Lewin popped up again to head in his 10th goal of the season to make it 2-2. Everton's Richarlison was then sent off for a horrible challenge on Thiago and would have been punished further had Jordan Henderson's stoppage time goal not been controversially disallowed by VAR for a fractional offside. In keeping with this season so far, it was thrills and spills at Goodison, and it finished Everton 2, Liverpool 2.
John, excellent work. So as we mentioned, two more commentaries to get our teeth into later. First of all, Manchester City versus Arsenal. That's in just over an hour and a half's time. Tom Rennie and Chris Perry will be your commentary team for that one. Heading into it, Arsenal have got a new player who could well feature. It's the midfielder Thomas Partey, who was signed from Atletico Madrid, we think for a fee eventually of about £45 million. He's been a player the Gunners have been after for a while. They got their man late on deadline day. Boss Mikel Arteta saying it's an excellent acquisition.
I've seen the buzz around the place. I think the fans are really happy. I've seen some really positive reactions after we brought him. The same with the team, the same with the squad and the staff. I think it's a player that we have rated on for a long time, and we have managed to bring him in, and I think it's going to be a really important addition to the team.
It's Thomas Partey being discussed by Mikel Arteta, who, as we touched on briefly earlier, Hogan, heads back to where, as a boss at least, he was schooled under Pep Guardiola, to Manchester City. This could be a very definitive game, couldn't it, in terms of these two teams' aspirations for where this season's heading league-wise?
Oh, most definitely, and I don't think Arsenal would have a better chance of going to Manchester City and getting something. I think with the injuries they have at the moment, Kevin De Bruyne missing, Aguero, I know he's been back training, but even if he plays, he won't be fully fit. They've been playing with Raheem Sterling up front. I think it's a good opportunity for Arsenal, but I just don't think they'll go there with the intention to win. I think they'll pack out the defence and midfield. They'll hope for one or two counter-attacks with Aubameyang using his pace, and I expect City to dominate the ball, and if they do that, eventually they'll probably find a breakthrough.
Yeah, I think it could be a very good game. After it, it's Newcastle versus Manchester United. The history is great, but this is the here and now, isn't it? And were Man U to certainly lose, maybe even if they don't win, that pressure will continue to mount, won't it, on Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, rightly or wrongly?
Most definitely, and I think this is going to be a tough game, because even if they win and won today 3-1 or 4-2, I think most of the noises coming out would be they have the real defensive issues. So you kind of have to go there, win with a clean sheet and look defensively sound, because they've given up way too many goals, way too many chances in the opening 3 games of the season, and it's a massive game. They're obviously going to be missing Martial, Cavani, There's talk that Maguire might be missing with a knock, so they're not in the greatest of form, but they have to dig in, and this is where they've got to show their character and the mental strength of that side.
Just one more quick one for now. Of course, the deadline is now passed for players to sign from the Championship and from the English Football League to the Premier League, and one of your old teams, West Ham, signing Said Benrahma from Brentford, initially in a £5 million loan with an obligation to buy for up to $30 million. What do you make of that?
Very good player, very good signing, I think, for West Ham. Amazing technical abilities. West Ham have signed these sort of players, and they've either been hit or miss. You've had the Dimitri Payets and Arnautovic's who have done very well, but then you've had Felipe Anderson and Yarmolenko who have gone the other way. So they'll be hoping that he follows the route that Payet and Arnautovic took, and then hopefully he can stick around a little bit longer than they did, because he's got fantastic attributes, and I think he could be a real success in the Premier League.
So the end isn't the end like Payet as well, though. Fingers crossed. We will wait and see. Hogan, thank you very much indeed. Our focus, though, is the second half here at Stamford Bridge, where Chelsea leads Southampton 2-1. Fancy there might be a few more goals in the second half. Stay with us right here on Premier League Live.
As darkness sweeps around the globe at 8 p.m. on the 18th of November, 25,000 people worldwide will pull their running shoes on to hit the road for a virtual 5 or 10k at Run in the Dark. I'm Mark Pollock, and by joining us to Run in the Dark this November, you'll be supporting the Mark Pollock Trust and our charity partner Collaborative Cures, whose mission it is to cure paralysis in our lifetime. Register now at runinthedark.org and get your medal, your flashing armband, and your Run in the Dark virtual timing app. Thank you.
Let's talk about you looking after your business. Ford, looking after your vehicle. Let's talk hassle-free Ford leasing. Just a fixed monthly payment, no motor tax to deal with, and no maintenance or servicing to pay on selected plans. Get the Ford Transit Custom from €290 per month. Hassle-free Ford lease. Now we're talking. Search Ford Lease or text Ford to 50015 to speak to us about leasing your next vehicle.
Text cost a standard rate. Price quoted for Transit Custom Base with no maintenance over 4 years with 3 monthly rentals in advance. 20,000 kilometres per annum. Business users only. Price excludes VAT. Ford Lease is provided by Merriam Fleet Management, trading as Ford Lease.
Create the Premier League atmosphere at home with Harvey Norman, the home of the big screen. Feel like you're on the pitch with our stunning range of 4K smart LED and OLED TVs from LG, starting from just $449. Plus, hear every kick, save, tackle, decision with LG's best-in-class soundbars. Get TV ready for all the big games with Harvey Norman. Shop online today or safely in our spacious stores. Harvey Norman, home of the big screen.
This is not the time for business as usual. It's time for effort and imagination. It's time to use technology to start your online plans. It's time to work from home to stay in touch. It's time to look to each other. Scoil Céile. Ireland is working online with help from Black Knight and .ie, because now we need better than business as usual. Call Black Knight on 059 918 3027 or visit blackknight.ie.
Grant has been providing reliable, efficient and affordable home heating technology for over 40 years. From the award-winning Grant Vortex condensing oil boiler to the highly efficient Arona heat pump, you can trust Grant to heat your home. Think heating, think Grant. Visit grant.eu.
Introducing Guardson Sport. Protect your sporting equipment from COVID-19 for up to 14 days with Guardson Sport disinfectant treatment. Ideal in team sports settings with the sharing of balls, rackets, gloves, helmets, and all other sporting equipment. Guardson Sport kills COVID-19 on impact, keeping surfaces free from COVID-19 and other viruses and bacteria for up to 14 days by creating a protective polymer layer on application. For more information on Guardson Sport and other quality assured, certified and approved PPE, visit yourcovidprotection.com.
You're listening to TalkSport's coverage of Chelsea against Southampton from Stamford Bridge. I'm your host, Russell Hargreaves, and alongside me is the former West Ham, QPR and Toronto FC winger Hogan Ephraim. And this is Premier League Live. Eagerly, Chelsea already out and already pretty much standing in formation ready for the second half. Southampton yet to re-emerge from the dressing room. I'll take this opportunity to blast through a few tweets. We've had so many from around the world. Josh listening from Texas, willing my Blues and Captain America to victory. Meanwhile, Brent Parker, who always sends us a tweet of what he's cooking up for later on in the day in his wonderful Montana restaurant. He says, with so much to worry about in life and in the world these days, I'm so ready for my EPL Saturday to recharge my spirits with a juicy burger My Arsenal to win later, and the world's best commentators to bring it all to me. Thanks and cheers to you boys. And Hogan, I'm sure I've mentioned this to you previously, he always sends a picture of what he's cooked, and these double burgers with chilies, with cheese, with the lot, they look absolutely delicious.
They would be going down a treat right now, I'll tell you that.
Destroy one of those right now if the opportunity was there. Sadly, we don't have anything of that quality in our media room, but as ever, Brent, and thank you for your chat in the week, where, by the way, he's invited me to go out there with the family sometime and film my face live. It's going to be a long time, I think, with the pandemic and so on, but I'm going to get there. I'm going to get to Montana and just massacre that entire buffet, I think. It's got to be done. Still Southampton aren't out, so let's catch up on a few more. I love this one. I don't know who he means here. Dave from Michigan in the States says, one of you sounds like Alan Pardew. Is that me or you? I think you.
I think you.
I think you.
Because he used to be my manager, and when you're talking, I feel like you sound a bit like him now.
God, he once shot me down in a press conference up post a West Ham Arsenal game at the old Highbury just before they left. So I always, whenever I think of Alan Pardew, I always think of that. When I asked him a question, he just, really went for me in front of about 400 people. So I think it's you.
To be fair, he shot me down a lot of times. I remember playing in a reserve game. I was in a reserve game at 16. He's coming at half time. The reserve manager's doing his talk. Pardew just come in and said, "Wait, forget all that for a minute. You get Hogan off the pitch. He's been terrible."
No,
I know, and I just felt so embarrassed.
Oh my God! So that's obviously worse. But he's done me in front of an entire room of the world's greatest writers and broadcasters, and he's done you like that. I think neither of us wants to be Alan Pardew.
No.
Okay, let's be ourselves. But Dave, thank you very much for that tweet. We liked it. Udo from Nigeria, really enjoying the commentary. I can't watch the match live, but I'm listening to you guys. Well done. And loads of others coming in as well. EKB Flames, happy day, guys. Southampton will hopefully do me a favour in the second half by beating the Noisemakers, Chelsea. You are live in Accra. Yeah, great to hear from you. Edem, I'm thrilled to see Pulisic back on the pitch. Your commentary makes it all the more thrilling. That's from La Paz, Ghana. And yeah, loads of others. Neil is listening in Canada, 7 a.m. He says, great commentary. I'm watching it on TV, but listening to you guys, so I've got the best of both worlds. And Ernest, listening from Ghana's capital, Accra. I hope Chelsea goes on to win the tie and sees it home in the second half. That is just a spattering of our tweets. I'll try and get to a few more in the second half if it is slightly less frenetic and end-to-end. But as you heard, the whistle there from referee Peter Banks. We're underway for the second half with Chelsea leading Southampton by 2-1. So Chelsea now kicking from left to right in the second half from our vantage point here on Premier League Live in their all-blue shirts and shorts with their white socks. And Southampton, their change kit, a very pretty change kit, isn't it? It's mostly white with a bit of red trim, red socks and a red diagonal sash on their fronts.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of that Southampton kit. One of the better ones I've seen so far this season. So,
pleased to know David Michigan has now replied, it's you. You think he sounds like Alan Pardew. It is you. It's not me. Down the far side, first attack of the second half. Sometimes there are no words. Here is Kai Havertz, the man who gave the ball away for the goal, keen to atone, no doubt. And he stays on his feet well here. Beats one player, beats a second, possibly illegally shoves his man Carl Walker-Peters on the far dead ball line. Gets away with it though, and play goes on. It was a good early run from the German, and just when he was losing control of the ball, he got a bit physical, but was allowed to continue, even if ultimately Chelsea have now been pushed back, Hogan.
Yeah, no, he's a strong boy, Kai Havertz. I remember doing Southampton first game of the season against Crystal Palace, and I was quite...
Yeah, that was us, wasn't it?
Yeah, I was quite critical of Carl Walker-Peters, but I have to say today he's been very good. He's looked good on the ball defensively. He's done 3 or 4 things that have been very good indeed, so I probably should take back my words from that Palace game.
Mate, it happens. And the ebbs and flows of a Premier League season, we see the real highs and the lows of a lot of players, don't we? So, and there's plenty more twists and turns to come, believe you me. Only match week 5 out of 38. Southampton only 1 goal down. You thought at 2 down it could be 3 or 4, if not more, at one point, but their response has been excellent to prove that very point. And on the far side, Shea Adams turns, plays the ball off a Chelsea opponent, and it's out for a Southampton throw, which Walker-Peters will take just inside the Chelsea half, up short to his captain, James Ward-Prowse. So I'll take you back through the lineups in a second when there's a break in play. Yannick Vestergaard forward as far as Ryan Bertram, back on that old stomping ground. Former England international, left-footed through ball looking for Danny Ings, who gets there, and Ings under pressure from Spilicueta just overruns it, and it trickles out of play for a goal kick. So Chelsea with Kepa in goal as Spilicueta, Christensen, Zuma and Chilwell at the back, Jorginho and Conte supporting Havertz, Mount and Pulisic. Only scored twice in the first half, his first 2 Premier League goals since his big signing from RB Leipzig in the Bundesliga. Timo Werner leads the line. Ball given away by Ben Chilwell. First time he's really made a mistake all game, and to compound it, the England fullback then pulls his man, I think it was Ward-Prowse, down and concedes a free kick in a pretty dangerous position. And I think Ben Chilwell, for a combination of those 2 factors, is going to go into the book.
Yeah, it was sloppy. It was a poor touch on his weaker side, on his right foot, and it just pulls him back. You can't do that nowadays, you know. It's a yellow card straight away. So it also this is a good angle for James Ward-Prowse. There's going to be a nice gap between the Chelsea defenders and the goalkeeper, and if he can stick it in there, which he's more than capable of, then they've got the player to go and attack it.
So Southampton, as we prepare for this free kick, have got McCarthy in goal, Walker-Peters, Bertrand, Bednarek and Vestergaard at the back, Ward-Prowse and Romeo in central midfield, Walcott and Redmond supporting Ings, the goal scorer, and Adams. Benches, by the way, Caballero, Abraham, Tamori, Giroud, Hudson-Odoi, Ziyech and James for the home team as Ward-Prowse delivers his free kick. Oh, it fizzes across the edge of the 6-yard box and could have gone anywhere. In the end, it ricochets, I think, off a Chelsea defender up into the air and into the gloves of a relieved Kepa Arrizabalaga.
Yeah, there'll be moments that Southampton are trying to exploit. Chelsea, we know, haven't been the greatest team on set pieces last season, and then even this season when you look at the West Brom game and so on, you can get chances out of them. There's not a commanding figure in there which organises and goes and dominates the box, so Southampton need to take a bit more care with these opportunities.
The Southampton bench: Forster, Stevens, Long, Obafemi, Valerie, Teller and Ibrahima Diallo, who I am hoping to see. Yeah, young midfielder, a Frenchman of some promise, and a man that Southampton have been tracking for some time and have managed to land eventually a few days ago. Signed from Brest in France. Signed from Monaco, where he was schooled as a youngster, helped Brest get promoted to Ligue 1 and then played very well in his first season after a loan deal became permanent. But he has been prized from there by Southampton, and I don't know if you know much about him. I've seen a little bit of him online. I think he could be a very good player once he's given time to ease in.
Yeah, no, there's big hopes for him, and you see the schooling that Monaco have had throughout the years with their youth academy products, so there'll be top people there that he's worked with, and I'm sure he would have picked up great knowledge of the game, and hopefully he can make a big impact.
So we shall see if he comes on a little bit later in the half. 50 minutes gone, Chelsea 2, Southampton 1, and Southampton really are a resurgent team. We saw signs in the build-up to Ings' goal, and then that strike from Danny Ings just before half-time really has given the away team a lot more hope, a lot more spring in their step, and it was Ings who closed down space and put pressure on Spilicueta. Southampton did concede the throw though. Mason Mount with a nice through ball to Ben Chilwell, and James Ward-Prowse, the man who he fouled of course for that yellow card and free kick, again comes scurrying back, nicks the ball off Chilwell, and in the end plays it out for a Chelsea throw midway inside the Southampton half. Chilwell and Ward-Prowse is an interesting little battle actually, isn't it? Not one you'd have expected necessarily to see as a match-up.
Yeah, no, two real honest players. Ward-Prowse, he knows now getting into the England setup, the scrutiny is going to be on him more than it was before. Maybe sometimes he could go under the radar, away from Southampton fans of course, but now people will want to have their say on him. I think he's been a fantastic player for them, and hopefully can carry that on going forward.
He's very mobile as well, isn't he? We talked about he was helping out his centre halves when they were struggling. He was out wide there. His predominant role is in the middle, where he can play defensively or push a bit forward and play off the strikers. It's almost a blessing and a curse when you're that versatile. I don't know.
Yeah, I think probably not the same quality, but he's very similar to Owen Hargreaves. I think he can play a number of roles, fantastic quality on the ball, set pieces, a major threat, and just a real honest player that a manager would love to have in his team, and as a teammate he'd be a dream to play alongside.
Let's hope the injuries don't eventually catch up and blight him as they did.
Yeah.
My namesake Owen Hargreaves. Anyway, 52 gone, Chelsea 2, Southampton 1. Chelsea have just taken the sting out of things a little bit here. I mentioned how frenetic that first half was, with chances and marauding runs and eye-of-the-needle passes left, right and centre. Chelsea's approach is a bit more balanced now. I wonder if that's something Frank Lampard has instilled at the break.
Quite possibly, yeah, but I also think Southampton's setup there was brilliant. They just had a line of 4 when Jorginho had the ball.
Okay.
And they just said, you aren't going to play through us, you're going to have to play side to side, and Chelsea ended up giving the ball away.
Spilicueta gave it away, and he's actually fouled Nathan Redmond in the process. He effectively body-checked Redmond, having passed it to him, and that could have been a yellow card.
Yeah, I've never seen Spilicueta be happy with a referee's decision, and that's a definite foul there, so I don't know what he's complaining about.
That could have easily been a yellow.
Oh, most definitely.
Pretty cynical in the end from the veteran Chelsea skipper. Of course, has been playing on the right side of a back 3 at times, but with Reece James having lost his place the last couple of matches for Chelsea, it's back to that back 4. And with the Spilicueta, in the twilight of his career, let's be honest, now back as the right back. But what a servant he has been for Chelsea over the years, and of course is the club captain as well. But he concedes the free kick. It's a fair way out, it's fairly central. Bertrand takes it, chips it in, it's all he can really do. Vestergaard was up there at the far post, the big Dane. It falls to Theo Walcott. Nice turn, decent looking cross. It's over Zuma. The other big centre half, the Pole Jan Bednarek, was up there. Ball takes a ricochet. Romeu to Ings. It'll 1-2 to Danny Ings. Oh, just wide from the England hitman. Short backlift, powerful shot. Kepa was struggling just wide of his right-hand post.
Lovely intricate play from Southampton. Ward-Prowse could have played out wide, but instead plays a nice little ball around the corner. Romeu, Ings, Bednarek all getting involved. Little 1-2s going on. The strike was nice. You thought it was going to be heading for the far corner, but he's just dragged it wide of the post.
I think Kepa, to his credit, would have had it covered had it been on target. That extra few inches probably made all the difference. And yes, we maligned Bednarek in the first half, and we were right to do so. His touch there was delightful, and that's clearly what he's more comfortable doing, is when he's on the offensive foot. Has played in midfield, of course, we shouldn't forget, a few times as well. Much better from the number 35. Southampton in possession again, and it is Bednarek who's got the ball at his feet. Looks way happier now as he finds Kyle Walker-Peters in field to Walcott, who, I've got to say, has played pretty well for me.
Yeah, no, I've enjoyed watching him play today. He's been lively, he's been involved, he's making good runs off the ball as well, trying to be a threat in behind Chilwell. There's going to be more to come from him. He's obviously missed a lot of action recently, so he's only going to get better and better, and I think Southampton have made a very astute signing there.
Deflected cross from this near side by Ryan Bertrand, the Southampton and former Chelsea left back. That deflected cross was well dealt with in the end by Andreas Christensen. Yes, he's had his wobbles and his indecisive moments, but he did okay there, no question. Phoenix Plexus has tweeted in saying, afternoon guys, the Chelsea defence is shaky to say the least. That's listening from Lagos, and yeah, I think you're right, and it's a point that Hogan highlighted earlier. And they're on the back foot once more as Ward-Prowse finds Walcott wearing 32, his second debut for the club. Fizzing shot from distance was on target. It was from a tight angle. It was a save that Kepa would have been expected to make from Kyle Walker-Peters. He did, and to his credit, he can only, I guess, do what's asked of.
Am I right in thinking Theo wore the 32 when he was first at Southampton?
Oh, that's a very good question. I'm not sure.
I'm sure I just have the image in my head.
Might be right.
Him sprinting away against, I think it was Leeds.
Yeah.
Or Luton, maybe lobbing the goalkeeper in a 32 shirt. But yeah, he's probably gone back to
2006, wasn't it?
Yeah. I think he's probably been a bit superstitious, gone back, and hopefully he can. Oh, here we go.
Ball's been given away. Oh, there could be an opportunity for another goal. Can Shea Adams stay on his feet? He ricochets off the post. It's still loose. The ball's still in play, and it's buried into the roof of the net from Shea Adams. It's 2-2. It's a horror show at the back for Chelsea. The ball could have gone anywhere. Southampton kept going, and with Kepa prone on the floor, bodies left, right and centre, the ball's in the net, and Saints have come from 2 down. Chelsea 2, Southampton 2.
That just sums up exactly where Chelsea are defensively. It's poor play from Zuma with a back pass, but even so, surely Kepa can do better there. It's poor just all round. Terrible back pass, poor goalkeeping. I thought it was actually going to be a penalty, but maybe he's just lost his footing in the ground. Oh yes, it's a nightmare scenario that for Chelsea. Shocking goal to give away.
And fair play to Shea Adams, because, as you say, maybe he could have gone down for a penalty, but after there's the potential there where he's maybe flicked by Kepa, he does keep on going, and my goodness, it's a kind of a convoluted array of events until the ball eventually goes in, but staying on those feet and hunting the ball down on the dead ball line was crucial.
Yeah, and I don't know what Kepa's doing. He's all over the place. Zuma as well, terrible from him. You can't just put the blame on the goalkeeper there. I know he's the one who gets a lot of stick, but
I agree.
Yeah, it's bad all round. And Lampard, that's probably why he wasn't happy in the first half. He probably saw this coming and knows that his team, they're there to give goals away.
Wow, 2-2. Shea Adams' his first goal of this season. Walcott and Ward-Prowse combining on the far side. Ball given away again by Chelsea. That was very sloppy. Even N'Golo Kante there could have done better. Rare that we say that. Southampton are probably the team in the ascendancy now. Hogan mentioned just a strategic shift in terms of where some of the players are sitting in that deeper formation, maybe just allowing them to invite Chelsea onto them and take the game back. And crikey, it's working pretty well at the moment. 58 gone from 2-0 to 2-2, but here come Chelsea. Through ball from Pulisic, 1-2, and it's into the back of the net. This topsy-turvy game continues, and it's another mesmeric team goal from Chelsea this time. The Germans combined. It was Pulisic initially to Timo Werner. He finds Kai Havertz. Havertz gets his first Premier League goal for the Blues. Chelsea 3, Southampton 2.
The first touch from Pulisic is out of this world. You will not see a better first touch than that all weekend. With his left foot, he just skips past Ward-Prowse. I can't talk highly enough of that first touch. Then the time of the pass to release Werner, so unselfish, plays it across to Havertz. And that's exactly what they needed, a quick response. But Pulisic's first touch here, this is unbelievable. He just absolutely kills Ward-Prowse for dead there.
That's a lovely goal as we look at the replay on the big screen. Fantastic play from the former Borussia Dortmund man in Christian Pulisic, and yes, he's had this injury niggle. Boy, has he been guided back into the team at the right time by Frank Lampard. And Werner and Havertz, that's another of these expensive German signings who's answered questions about his Premier League goal scoring potential, isn't it now?
Yeah, but you'd probably say Southampton, that their mindset would have changed completely. They were in the ascendancy and they probably thought that they could go for it, left a little bit of space open, and Chelsea took full advantage. Havertz, that will do him the world of good, getting his confidence up and running now. Werner, a couple of goals and an assist. It's exactly what Lampard would have wanted to see from his attacking players.
It's been a great Premier League season so far. So many goals in so many games. You think about the 6-1 and the 7-2 just before the international break with Man U. Sorry, I didn't keep mentioning that. Sorry, pal. And Liverpool losing. We're back underway. We've just had an epic 2-2 amid controversy in the Merseyside derby, with 3-2 in this game with not even an hour being played. Given the fact we're behind closed doors as well, the quality, the entertainment has been excellent largely, hasn't it? It's really, really stepped up since, I think, the break after the old season into the delayed new one.
Yeah, most definitely. Just like you said, the standard now compared to Project Restart is massive. So it bodes well. There's a lot of goals being scored. I'm not sure it will be too good for the top teams going into Europe, because when we normally have Premier League seasons like this where our big boys are conceding so many goals, they never tend to do well in Europe, which isn't a good sign. So we'll have to keep an eye on that and see how that goes.
Yeah, it's a very interesting point, isn't it? And COVID is such a great leveller in so many different ways, I suppose, where each squad and then each league domestically is trying to fight the pandemic in its own way in some ways. It's going to be a great unknown, I think, into this new European season that starts in midweek. Chelsea, I think, have got Sevilla in their opener, haven't they, this coming Tuesday?
Yeah.
See how that one fares. And they've got Krasnodar away in their second group stage game. It's part of their upcoming matches. Either side, by the way, have a trip to Manchester United next weekend, and then a trip to Burnley to conclude October. It's a busy old month there, isn't it?
Yeah, there's a lot of tough games, but Chelsea do have one of the best and deepest squads in the Premier League now, so they'll be one of the happier sides with it. I can think of plenty more teams that wouldn't want to be in that position, so I'm sure Chelsea will cope with it just fine.
Might even play Antonio Rudiger one day.
Nah, wouldn't go that far.
Everton at home, by the way, the leaders, and Aston Villa away are the next two games for Southampton, who don't have Europe on their agenda this season. 61.5 gone. Chelsea 3, Southampton 2. If you're just joining us, Timo Werner with a brace in the first half, and Kai Havertz a moment ago, all excellent goals in their own right. These strikes for Chelsea. Southampton, Danny Ings, and then after a real muddle at the back, Shea Adams, who saw Southampton fight from 2 down to 2-2 before, within the blink of an eye, Chelsea retook the lead. That is where we stand. 62 gone. N'Golo Kante up against Theo Walcott, and this time the Frenchman wins it back in a far more certain and accomplished manner. Long ball downfield from Chelsea on the far side. Bednarek wins it back. Head tennis, and eventually falls to Timo Werner. His through ball, though, is a poor one, well ahead of Mason Mount, who had no chance of getting there. And it's back to Alex McCarthy. Carol has tweeted in saying, even the Dolphins are loving your commentary, boys. Finishing up on my on-beach workout with you as I head home. And a beautiful picture of, I'm pretty sure it's the Florida coastline, with a beautiful sunrise and a dolphin, just swimming its way out to sea. Very, very nice, Carol. Beautiful thing to be watching as you listen to us. And Joe Ely from Des Moines in Iowa, USA. I've got a small single earbud speaker as I listen to you on my 12-mile training run. Fantastic commentary, and I'm happy that Pulisic's hamstring has held out so far. Excellent tweet, Joe, and we appreciate it. At TalkSport Live, keep your tweets coming in. We'll continue to read them out. And Osmoko Amika, this game is simply football at its best, and I know what he means, because it's really enjoyable. Yes, some of the defending's a bit iffy, but it's just really fun.
Yeah, no, most definitely. Going back to Pulisic and his hamstring, is that still from the FA Cup final, or has he redone it?
I've got a feeling it's an ongoing niggle that's never ever quite gone away. I think it's one of those that wasn't thought to be that serious, and whenever you try and get, as you I'm sure well know, get full back up to speed, it never quite feels right, as I understand.
I never got quick enough to have any trouble with my hamstring, to be fair.
Alan Pardew certainly thinks so. Here's a Spilicueta to Havertz, looking for his second cross shot, and it came almost too quickly to the aforementioned Pulisic, who frustrated that he couldn't pull the trigger and get a shot on target. But even this man's great talent, he just didn't quite have time to react, did he?
No, it was fizzed in at him. Could he have maybe let it run? No, he couldn't have let it run. He just needed the deftest of touches, but it was a tough one to try and control that.
Yeah, Bednarek was there to cover, wasn't he? So it wouldn't have got through to Mount, so he had to try and do something. But Pulisic has been excellent on his return to the team after that injury. And it's wise, isn't it, Hogan, sometimes with players, and if you've got a deeper squad, you're more able to do so, to phase that return and not rush it. Last season, where they didn't have 4 or 5 of their new signings, you maybe see him in a week or two earlier pre the break, and who knows if that could actually do more harm than good.
Yeah, exactly. That's the last thing you want to be doing. You don't want muscle injuries for any player, but especially you don't want to get in the knack of having them as a young player and then they persist throughout your career. So they have to look after him and have his best interests at heart, and he looks fully fit and up to speed today, so that's fantastic news for Chelsea.
Zamunta and Precious both dining out from Nigeria, one from Bauchi, one from Ibadan, on the quality of that first goal from Timo Werner. Kalende Salame saying, great job guys, Chelsea all the way, and surely from here they will get the job done. You would think so, but we thought that at 2-0, didn't we? And things turned pretty much, within a blink of a couple of eyes. Anyway, 65 gone, Chelsea 3, Southampton 2, and it's now Chelsea the team with the renewed momentum after that goal, as Havertz again springs forward, plays it off a Southampton defender, and out for another Blues throw, which his German compatriot Timo Werner will take in a second. And these two, Hogan, do combine well, don't they? Not just for club as we're seeing now, but for country as well.
Yeah, in the week against Switzerland, they both on the score sheet, both look good. So it's a nice little partnership they have. I think Havertz at times might get frustrated thinking that Werner could maybe lay it across to him, but I just think that's just the honesty of a striker, just trying to get shots away when he sees the goalpost. I don't think there's anything sinister in that, but promising partnership going forward, and with the age of the two players, that could be a long-standing partnership for club and country.
Yeah, both early to mid-20s with a lot of talent in the world potentially at their feet, both with goals and assists in what was ultimately a 3-3 draw draw against Switzerland, and I think Newcastle's Fabian Schär got sent off for Switzerland right at the end as well, so that was eventful, just like this game, just like the Merseyside derby as well. Joseph Emmanuel says, this is just what I want to see from Chelsea. I hope Man United are prepared for us next week. Loving the commentary from Ibadan in Nigeria. And Josh saying, even for a Man United fan, you've got to be excited about all of this Chelsea talent. Great commentary, boys. And yeah, I suppose you would probably, through gritted teeth, second that. There is a lot of talent, isn't there? Some homegrown and now increasingly added to by some of these signings.
Yeah, most definitely. You look forward to watching this Chelsea team play. I can see them scoring 3 or more goals on numerous occasions this season. So Southampton won't be the last team that this happens to. They're so fluid going forward. Like I said, the options on the bench, a lot of teams in the Premier League, they'd give their right arm to have Ziyech, Hudson-Odoi, Giroud, Tammy Abraham in their starting 11, let alone on the bench. So they've got fantastic depth, and I see Chelsea having a real good season.
Chelsea have lost possession there, though. Surrendered as far as the Blues, as far as Southampton, I should say. Oriol Romeu out as far as the other former Chelsea player in Southampton's ranks, Ryan Bertrand. He finds Nathan Redmond, who has struggled to get into this game on his return to the team. I'll ask Hogan his thoughts on Redmond in just a moment. I certainly got my own. Ward-Prowse with another intelligent ball, not trying to do too much, but finding Bertrand in space. Back to the Southampton captain, head up, clever ball, guided in, and good defending there from Ben Chilwell. I say good defending, I think he's had to concede a corner in the end. Walker-Peters on his shoulder, headed it back to his goalkeeper. I think that's just about gone out for a corner before the stopper could keep it in play. Yes, it has. It's going to be a corner. I thought initially he'd done all right, but probably the wrong option, maybe.
Yeah, no, probably a bit too cool there, Ben Chilwell. I don't think even Kepa's harshest critic can blame him for that one, so... But this is a chance now for Southampton.
With Southampton's first corner of the game, it's taken 68 minutes. Ward-Prowse is brilliant with the dead ball, not just free kicks, but largely corners as well. Outswinger, both centre-halves were up there. And in the end, it was a powerful header clear. Both Christensen and Zuma attacked it against their opposite numbers. Zuma attacks it again. Romeu on the half volley. Let's rip against his old team. But that one is high, wide and handsome. And we stay at 3-2.
For him, with his technique, he'll see that as half a chance there, Romeu. Because he'd back himself. He's in acres of space. I know the ball's dropping and it's not the easiest one in the world to hit, but he's good enough technically to keep that ball down and get it on target.
Kudus has tweeted in saying he still thinks that Southampton will get something out of this game. I totally see your point. It's certainly far from out of the question. Romeu's shot there, just a little reminder of that thing. Short goal kick this time from Chelsea as they just alter their plan of attack. Kepa out to Chilwell, guided it forward. Havertz and Mount were both there on that side of the field as well. Ball is played off Theo Walcott and out for a Chelsea throw midway inside their own half. Dale Robinson has tweeted outside of Hanford, California, delivering enclosures to expand the dairy, hanging out with some of the girls, and they seem to prefer Chelsea. When he says the girls, it's a picture of his herd of cows. Very, very nice. All of his milking cows are there, and he's got the commentary on, and he's playing it to them as he gets the farm chores done. Good lad, Dale there, saying great to have the EPL back. Fantastic to hear from you. Drop us pictures, tweets, let us know what you're up to. We love to hear from you here at TalkSport Live is the Twitter handle, and as ever, we should just reiterate, it is a pleasure to bring you the Premier League to everybody around the globe. We love it week in, week out. We're very fortunate to have it. And yeah, it's an absolute pleasure to bring it to everybody. Exactly 70 minutes gone. Chelsea 3, Southampton 2. Hogan, how do you see it finishing from here?
I think that Southampton will start to push forward, and that will leave space for Chelsea. Something tells me if Werner stays on the pitch, he will complete the hat-trick. So I still think there's more chances in this game, but Southampton the next goal is massive. They can't afford to go 4-2 down.
Havertz putting pressure on Vestergaard on this near stand side, but the Dane did well, got it back to his goalkeeper, and Romeu, who's been much more prevalent in the second half, brought the ball out of defence. Found Ward-Prowse, who immediately had Jorginho there to snuff him out, so he was forced to go to Bertrand. Ball over the top, good defending in the air from Chilwell, with Walker-Peters once more on his shoulder. Loose ball though, falls rather than to Mount to Theo Walcott. Another ricochet, Walcott putting Chilwell back under pressure. Appeals for a foul. Chilwell in the end, right by his own right corner flag, is forced to hack the ball out for a throw. And again, Southampton with Walcott looking very hungry, have got a decent position from which to attack.
Yeah, Southampton still carrying that threat going forward. Chelsea won't be comfortable just yet.
We're about to see Hakim Ziyech play for Chelsea for the first time. Wonderful Moroccan international, picked up from Ajax, the Dutch giants. He's been struggling with injury niggles, and he will now be a Chelsea player replacing Mason Mount. What do you make of that change?
Yeah, I think Pulisic will go over to the left. Ziyech likes to play wide right and come in on his left foot. His left foot's exceptional, whether that's shooting, passing, crossing. He's just an unbelievably good technical player. And I was amazed that there weren't more teams going in for him, especially for the price. I think he was around mid-30s million pounds.
Cheap these days for a good player, isn't it?
Very cheap, and I can't speak highly enough of him. I think he's a sensational footballer. His performances in the Champions League, they were mind-blowing at times, and technically I don't think there's many people in the Premier League that could be on his level. He's that good.
Yeah, the vast majority of that Ajax team now broken up and at various big clubs. Of course, Van den Beeker's just gone to Man United as one of the last few that had stayed put as well. Ziyech, the Chelsea player, and now onto the field. And immediately he comes charging forward and puts a little bit of pressure on Ward-Prowse, who gives the ball back to his defenders. They're pumped back over the top as far as Southampton's second goal scorer, Shea Adams. Adams has got Zuma and Kante around him. He thinks he held the ball up and played it off Chelsea for a Southampton throw. Referee's assistant disagrees, and Shea is letting him know just how frustrated he is with that decision.
I think normally you can tell with players' body language, and you look at Kante and Chilwell, they started jogging backwards as though they expected the throw to go to Southampton, but it was right under the linesman's nose, and sometimes they are the harder ones to give because you can't see the action as good.
Reminder that Chelsea lost 2-0 at home to Southampton on Boxing Day in this fixture last season, but they have won 7, drawn 1 and lost just one of their last 9 head-to-head, so that was certainly one that bucked the trend. Southampton are looking to record back-to-back league wins at the Bridge for the first time since 1985. It's not out of the question. They've got a long way to go. 3-2 down with 17 minutes to go. By the way, on December the 26th, it was Michael Obafemi and Nathan Redmond who scored the goals. The young Irishman Obafemi on the bench again today. And Redmond has started. Not been, for me, as good as he was a couple of seasons ago. He's just fallen away a bit, Nathan Redmond. I don't know what you think.
He's a tough one, Nathan Redmond. He came through at Birmingham. Yep. He was very good. He had a great spell at Norwich as well.
And then he was good initially at Southampton, got in the England squad.
Yeah, he's had moments, and his form has started to dip. I know that he's an attacking player and whatnot, but he does do a lot of work defensively, which goes unnoticed, and I'm sure his fullbacks are very grateful for that. But he does need to start adding some more goals and assists to his games. He's getting to that age now where he should be taking games by the scruff of the neck and making a real impact.
Just as we're seeing Ward-Prowse do of a player of a similar-ish age. Yeah, I completely take your point there. Ball in field, it's asking too much of Walker-Peters. Mason Mount it was, who just nudged him slightly, did well. I beg your pardon, Kai Havertz, because Mount is the man who's gone off. It was Havertz who set him up neatly. Little jinking run from Pulisic. Proper first meaningful touch now for the new man, Hakim Ziyech. Nice through ball back to Havertz. That's Piliqueta. Fizzing cross shot. No Chelsea player could quite get their body onto it, and the ball went swivelling across to the left edge of the penalty area. Picked up by Ziyech once more. Off Ben Chilwell, and Chilwell knew full well that it had taken a ricochet off a Southampton jersey. We're behind for another Chelsea corner. Ziyech getting involved for the first time in anger.
Yeah, he played a nice little ball into Havertz there in a little number 10 position. Little sidewall pass, and that's what he's got. He's just so creative, and he'll see things that not many other players can see.
5 corners now to Chelsea to Southampton's 1. Ziyech is the man who will take it left-footed. Outswinging delivery. It's not the best, I've got to say. Kyle Walker-Peters half clear, only as far as Chilwell. Zuma's up there, nudges it down to his fellow centre-half Andreas Christensen. And Christensen, off his fellow number 4 Vestergaard, wins another Chelsea corner. It wasn't pretty, but they've got another chance.
Yeah, I think Vestergaard would have been happy that it was Christensen running against him there and not Timo Werner, because he could have been in real trouble.
Oh dear, poor old Christensen. I don't know. He's still a good player. Anyway, since they lost to Southampton on Boxing Day, Chelsea have won 7 out of 8 at home in the Premier League, and they've scored 18 and only conceded 4 going into this one, so it's been pretty impressive, and haven't even shipped a goal against anyone in the top 6 since then. It's been a little bit bucking the trend today as they look for number 4. Unopposed in the end was Havertz, and I think he just had to leap and rise for it a bit too much. Guided it over half a foot lower, and that would have been a golden opportunity.
Yeah, it was a real chance there. Havertz free in the box. I think it was, like you said, just a little bit too high for him. Maybe he could have timed his jump a little bit better. But
I was just thinking that, actually. Almost jumped a bit too early and was kind of almost on the way down.
Yeah, it seemed to come off the top of his head, and he would have wanted connected front on there and just redirected to where it's come from.
Southampton substitution. It's not Ibrahima Diallo, and it's not Michael Obafemi. It's Nathan Teller, the young midfielder, who comes on wearing 23, and it is Nathan Redmond, funnily enough, who goes off. He has worked hard, but as we touched on, despite all of his endeavours, he struggled to really be a potent threat and stamp his authority on this game, and kind of almost can see that on his face as he sits back down, I would say.
Yeah, no, most definitely. I think he'll know himself he has to start adding more goals and assists, and especially if Theo Walcott does what's expected of him on the other side, then Redmond will want to be keeping up with that.
Talking of Walcott, lovely through ball to Theo, thought about a shot from distance, finds Shea Adams instead, and just like Ings before him, it was a sharp low shot just to the right of Kepa and just to the right of the post.
Yeah, massive space there. Theo in the middle of the park to run into, feeds it out to Che Adams. Chilwell scrambling, to be fair, probably does just enough to maybe put Che Adams off. He sees his body flying in front of him, but you just want to be hitting the target and just testing Kepa at every opportunity.
Not quite to be, but Ralph Hasenhüttl, the Southampton manager, has got that beady intensity back, and he's just striding purposefully up and down the touchline in his fetching grey Southampton tracksuit. I just can sense maybe that something could be brewing once more. Remember, Southampton have come from 2 down to 2-2 in this game, now 3-2 down, and they are the team back in the ascendancy. It was Romeo's through ball earlier to free Walcott, and it's Romeo again who does well to find Danny Ings on the edge of the D. Chelsea's defence stands firm on this occasion and forces Southampton back to halfway. 12 minutes to go here on Premier League Live. It remains Chelsea 3, Southampton 2. Earlier 2-2 in an incredibly eventful and controversial Merseyside derby. Everton and Liverpool, including a disallowed goal for the Reds at the end and a straight red for Everton moments earlier. Henderson and Richarlison, the two players involved in those incidents. At 5:30 in less than an hour now, Tom Rennie and Chris Perry guide you through Manchester City against Arsenal, and at 8 p.m, so in about 3.5 hours time, just under, Newcastle versus Manchester United with Tim Long and Paul Parker. That's today's 4 games on Premier League Live. 4 more tomorrow. Sheffield United Fulham, Crystal Palace Brighton, Tottenham West Ham, and Leicester Aston Villa. And 2 more on Monday night. West Brom Burnley, Leeds United Wolves. All of them live on Premier League Live around the world. Just very quickly, Gareth Bale expected to make his second Spurs debut against West Ham, isn't he? Just like Theo's doing today for Southampton.
Yeah, obviously a massive signing that for Spurs. They hope that he can get back to the form that we know he's capable of. He hasn't had the best 18 months to maybe 24 months, and he needs to try and hit the ground running, because Tottenham look fantastic at the minute. They're scoring goals for fun.
Free kick eventually has gone Chelsea's way, and it's Oriol Romeu again who's nibbled away. I think it was at Jorginho. Ziyech was there remonstrating as well. And Chelsea have the free kick, but it's not really in the part of the field they would like. It's inside their own half as Chilwell pokes one down the line looking for Kai Havertz. Havertz had limited space in which to operate, and there's not the biggest run-off area either at Chelsea either, is there, with the big stands hemmed in fairly constricted space, and with the advertising hoarding fast approaching, Havertz did not have a lot of room. Long ball forward, Vestergaard as far as Shea Adams, who tried an impudent back heel, but there was no one there to receive it. Walker Peters wasn't quite on his teammates' wavelength, and the ball is surrendered. 10 minutes to go. Chilwell for Chelsea, another long ball forward looking for Timo Werner, the man who scored the opening 2 goals of the game. Chelsea not at the races there, and Southampton clear that one very easily through Romeo once more, who's been much better in the second half, hasn't he?
Yeah, no, he started to control things for Southampton. He's had them ticking over. It looks like it might be in a game that ends disappointing for Southampton, but they've really stepped up this second half and looked a much better attacking threat, and they've took the game to Chelsea.
Southampton haven't won 3 straight league games since they won 4 straight in the last 4 of the 2016 season under Ronald Koeman. It's been a long old time since they've gone on a proper tear. And they need to find 2 goals toward the end of this one to do it. Excellent run from Walcott to Ings. Low shot on target. Save low to his left from Kepa. Yes, he's been maligned, but seeing that late through a sea of bodies, the Spaniard makes a good save.
That's a big save from Kepa. That Theo, so positive. Great little cutback as well into the area. He knows that the defence is dropping deep. Cuts back. Ings does well, but that's a big save from Kepa. That at the near post, there's bodies in front of him, gets down well. Strong hands to push it away.
That's a really good save, because he did see that very late. Ings cutting effectively away from goal. There were almost 3 Chelsea defenders he took out of the game as he then fired the shot in, all of which were blocking the keeper's view.
Yeah, no, that'll do him the world of good, Kepa. He'll feel like he's helped his team to some points today if they do manage to go and get them.
We mentioned it was saving shots that was his biggest issue. He's done well and dug his team out there. Appeals for handball. I think it was Jorginho. The ball was flicked up. Shea Adams in particular furious about that, and had 21 shots in this game, 10 of which had been on target. And after Chelsea dominated early on, it's now 11-10 in terms of efforts to Chelsea and 5-5 in terms of those that have been on target. But the critical stat is still 3-2 to Chelsea with 8 minutes to go here on Premier League Live. Vestergaard, ball over the top. First touch really since he came on of notes from the new man Nathan Teller, who frustratingly just slips. He tried to get away from Christensen, and an opportunity for Southampton there goes a begging. I mentioned pre-match, Theo Walcott had said he's not back at Southampton to put his feet up, and you really saw that in the build-up to that chance. It was a great run. He showed proper old pace, didn't he?
Yeah, no, that's what you've come accustomed to with him. When he gets his head down and he drives like that, you wouldn't want to be the fullback playing against him. So positive, goes down the outside. Then he has the intelligence, which he's probably been criticised over the years of maybe lacking, to just cut it back into the area when he knows the defence is back treading. So it was great play from him.
Darren Joel has tweeted a picture of he and I think it's his daughter driving to their own club match and listening to our commentary to get them fired up. Darren, hopefully you and your daughter, I presume it is, can get the job done, and we've helped set that tone for you. 7 minutes to go. Chelsea 3, Southampton 2. Header downfield from Kurt Zouma for the Blues. Finds his fellow Frenchman N'Golo Kante, who takes it around one player, and Oriol Romeu hacks him down. It's the two enforcers on each other, and finally Oriol Romeu, having nibbled away all game, as to be fair as Kante, he goes into the book. I think this was safely only a matter of time, wasn't it?
Yeah, every game he plays you fancy him to end up in the book at some stage, but it was a great touch from Kante when the ball was dropping on the bounce, just takes it past Romeu, takes him completely out of the game, and he had to try and put a foot in and just brought him down. Definite yellow card.
Free kick about 10 yards inside the Southampton half, and interestingly Chilwell opts to just go back to his defenders. They're suddenly under pressure as 3 Southampton strikers bear down on the 2 Chelsea centre halves. They get away with it, the Blues, and in the end there's a foul on Kai Havertz. A bit negative for me, that, and it almost got Chelsea in trouble. Anyway, quick free kick, we'll come back to that. Ziyech saw the opportunity of a quick free kick because Pulisic had made a clever run to the far left of the penalty area. He couldn't quite find the USA international. In the end, the ball was won back by Southampton, but they then give it away. Walker-Peters with a poor pass. Here is Timo Werner still on a hat-trick. Back to Hakim Ziyech on his debut for Chelsea. Ziyech tries to turn the new man, Nathan Teller. Teller did well to win it back and guide it downfield. Ings dispossessed. Hasenhüttl thinks there was a foul on his striker from Azpilicueta. Referee and linesman say no. And Chelsea now get it back through. Their captain Cesar Azpilicueta to Pulisic. Now to Havertz. And again Southampton pushing Chelsea back to halfway. Foul for you or not?
I think so, yeah. I think so. It wasn't the most vicious thing in the world, but I'd give a free kick there.
Okay, well Chelsea do get away with that one as N'Golo Kante pokes a fairly unchallenged ball across the middle of the park. Ings could have maybe scurried toward it, decided not to. Ziyech picks it back up from Azpilicueta. Nice turn. Bit of a block there off the ball from Vestergaard, but again nothing spotted, nothing given. Ziyech, to be fair, doesn't really complain, gets on with it and gets on with the business of trying to close down the Southampton goalkeeper Alex McCarthy. Right-footed, he does well to get the ball pretty much to halfway with limited time in which to do so. 85 gone, Chelsea 3, Southampton 2. So it's not in the area of the field they would like to be. They're trying to play some pretty football and get the ball downfield. Televote can't keep that one in play, and we're about to see substitutions left, right and centre. 2 for Southampton, 1 for Chelsea. I'll go Chelsea first. Reece James, the young defender, is coming on, Hogan.
Yeah, I think they need to be a bit more solid, and Reece James will give them that. He's obviously got the pace and the strength, and I know he's got amazing quality on the ball, but they're not bringing him on here for his attacking prowess, I think it's fair to say.
Yeah, and it's Christian Pulisic, interestingly, who's going off. He had been a little quieter in recent minutes, and let's not forget he's not played for a good old while with that hamstring injury, so fair enough, and to have lasted 86 minutes is a great effort.
I did think to myself about 10 minutes ago whether Lampard would think about changing to a 3 at the back maybe, but it looks like Reece James has gone on into midfield, so probably give him a bit more strength in there.
Reece James, who did have a shaky game a couple of matches ago, and that was why he ended up ultimately losing his place, because a couple of games before that he scored an absolute worldie of a strike from distance. He's a very talented player, on loan at Wigan Athletic a couple of seasons ago, where he was their player of the season and did brilliantly. Back into the England fold, where of course, as we touched on briefly, he played actually alright, didn't he, but then got sent off after the final whistle in the defeat to Denmark for remonstrating with the referee on the back of Harry Maguire being sent off during the game. Things did not go England's way for once in the last of their 3 games during the international break, having won the other 2. Anyway, that was the last bit of football he played a few days ago. Reece James touches the ball for the first time, now with a shock of peroxide blonde hair as well. He's pointing, wearing 24, directing his teammate Ziyech, left-footed in-swinging delivery, dangerous ball, looking for Timo Werner on the far post. Southampton defend it pretty well. Jorginho putting one of the 2 Southampton new men, Shane Long, under pressure. I'll tell you about their replacements in a moment. Jorginho then wins it back. Shane Long, the veteran Irishman, is on for Shea Adams, and Oriol Romeu has gone off, possibly before he's sent off, now that he's on a yellow card. And the youngster we talked about, Ibrahima Diallo, now comes on for his Southampton debut, wearing 27. Let's keep a little eye on him as best we can as well, for sure. Chilwell back for Chelsea. Southampton there, having won the ball back, frittered possession away again, and with 2 minutes to go, that's going to really frustrate Hasenhüttl, isn't it?
Yeah, most definitely. They say you're always at your most vulnerable after scoring, and it proved the case there for Southampton. They just got caught out cold by Chelsea. But going back to Ben Chilwell, I think he's going to be a fantastic addition to this Chelsea team. I think they've struggled in that left-back area for a few seasons now. Marco Alonso, don't get me wrong, he's done some fantastic things at the club, but more as a wing-back. So I think getting Chilwell in there, if they can keep him fit, I know he had a few niggles towards the end of last season, then that'll be a big plus for them.
Jonathan Morganti is listening to us from South Brazil. He says, loving your commentary, only discovered your service recently, really enjoying listening to the best league in the world. As Chelsea try to counter-attack on the far side. Havertz nicely cut out by a man who's really stood up since a tricky opening, Jan Bednarek, and we have to give him a nod there to that, because we were really worried and thought he might be taken off at half-time, and his recovery from the first half an hour has been really impressive, actually, hasn't it? Good strength of character.
Yeah, no, definitely. He came into the game, he started to dominate back there. Had a great second half, to be fair. First half isn't one I want to look back on at all, but second half he's done really well.
Just taking a little look at the goals of Timo Werner, who's about to be taken off for one more Chelsea substitution, as Frank Lampard does his best to help run down the clock a little bit. And the man who will come on is Tammy Abraham, who has lost his place after the previous game, which is a bit harsh given the fact it was a 4-0 win. But Tammy out, as you mentioned, Werner given the chance to lead the line. Abraham, whose 23rd birthday caused that COVID controversy, missing out on England time and reprimanded by his club manager. He comes on wearing 9 for the final few moments. James Ward-Prowse gets it back for Southampton. We are going to have 4 additional minutes. We tick into the first of those. Ward-Prowse drove the ball forward, couldn't find a fellow Southampton shirt. Ziyech had it back briefly for Chelsea, But he was then dispossessed by Teller, who I've got to say has done quite well on this left-hand side since he came on. Ryan Bertrand feels he was fouled by his old teammate, Jorginho, the guilty party. Southampton have got a free kick with 3.5 added on minutes to go in a very promising position, about 30-35 yards out, Hogan.
Yeah, no, this is a major chance. With just over 3 minutes to go in the game, you can't see too many better chances here to put in a delivery. Surprised Ward-Prowse has walked away from it, but I think Bertrand with the outswinger, keep it away from Kepa, maybe tempt him to come out for it and get bodies around him.
Will be the cultured left foot of Ryan Bertrand. Southampton with about 7 jerseys on the edge of the box. It's a good delivery. Header clear from Zuma to Walcott! Oh my goodness, it's taken a deflection. Whether it's Walcott's goal or not, I am not sure. Vestergaard, I think, was up there too. Both are celebrating. Walcott with a massive hand regardless on his return to the team for the first time since 2006. It was written in the stars. Vestergaard sticking out a boot. And again, Southampton come from behind. It's Chelsea 3, Southampton 3.
Yeah, that was a chance. Set pieces, Chelsea aren't the best at defending them. It's great from Theo there to keep the ball down, because it's not an easy one to hit. So he hits it down. Always got a chance when you keep it down with all the bodies in the box. And Vestergaard readjusts, and that's a fantastic header, by the way. Just glances it into the far side netting. Massive goal that for Southampton.
So it's going just wide, I would say, from Walcott's effort, but only narrowly. And then Vestergaard cranes his neck and gets a sliver of a touch. But that sliver is effectively what brilliantly guides it past Kepa and back on target.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's that finesse of the header there. Just guides it into that far corner. It's a lovely little finish there from Vestergaard, and it's a nightmare scenario this for Chelsea to be 2 up in this game and then to go into the lead again, to come away with just a point, which looks very likely now. That will be a nightmare scenario for Frank Lampard.
Frank Lampard is keeping it together, to be fair, on the dugout. The big screen has just honed in on him, and he's looking relatively impassively onto events. And we've got a minute and a half of the additional 4, and it's now Chelsea 3, Southampton 3. Here comes Saints through Teller. Clever through ball to Ings. Oh my goodness, Danny Ings almost got his shot in, and Kurt Zouma came from nowhere, hurtling back to make a critical interception. Otherwise, Ings could have poked that pass for his second. We stay 3-3, corner conceded.
Teller's looked very lively since coming on.
Really has.
Yeah, he's causing problems, and now it's another set piece, and Southampton, this is a big chance for them to try and nick all 3 points here.
It's a goal every day of the week if Ings gets that shot away.
Yeah.
Whoa. Kurt Zouma did absolutely brilliantly there. That's some serious game reading and serious wheels. Anyway, corner conceded. We've got about 45 of the additional minutes to go. 3-3. Ward-Prowse takes it. Right-footed in-swinger. Kepa punches well under pressure. But Southampton get it back. Teller again wins it. Plays a 1-2 with Ward-Prowse. Right-footed. Goes back to Ward-Prowse. Back to Teller. As Ziyech pushes out, so does Kante, and forces Southampton back.
I think Ward-Prowse and Teller both had the chance to put the ball in there, and
they've got to get on with it.
They have to. I was surprised that they've gone all the way back.
20 odd seconds to go. 3-3 here on Premier League Live. The same 2 players combining again. They've got to get this cross in the box. They'll kick themselves if they don't at least try and put Chelsea under one more bit of threat. The Blues keeping a good shape though, pushing Chelsea back. Long ball over the top from Bednarek is a good one. Here is Ward-Prowse, edge of the area. 4 minutes gone. We've only got seconds to go, surely. Danny Ings denied moments ago by Zuma's brilliant interception. Back to Ward-Prowse. Get it in the box, Southampton. Let's have one more opportunity in this game. Is there a late winner? Chelsea keep a good shape, but Theo Walcott turns, beats one player, beats the second, releases his shot. It is wide in the end. Wide-eyed, Walcott took aim, and just wide.
Yeah, that was the moment there. Great little turn from Theo. Nice little burst of pace, good acceleration. Just couldn't connect properly with a shot. He's dragged it. I fancied him there as well to take the headlines on his re-coming of a debut, we should say.
And there is the final whistle. What entertainment at Stamford Bridge. Another wonderful advert for the Premier League, I have to say. It's finished Chelsea 3, Southampton 3, as Frank Lampard and Ralph Hasenhüttl just basically laugh as they talk to each other at the end. All the players are giving themselves socially distant sort of elbow bumps and fist pumps, and quite rightly so. It was a game with a little bit of needle at times, but it was largely played in good, passionate spirit. The ball just ebbing and flowing from side to side, and goal goals left, right and centre. First two in the Premier League for Timo Werner for Chelsea. Danny Ings with one back before the break. Shea Adams making it 2-2 early in the second half. Moments later, Kai Havertz gets his first in the Premier League for Chelsea to make it 3-2. But 92 minutes, Yannick Vestergaard guiding in Theo Walcott's shot to make it 3-3. What a game, Hogan Ephraim.
No, fantastic spectacle. That it's lived up to what the Premier League's been about so far this season. There's been goals galore, and Southampton, you have to give them full credit. At 2-0 down, Chelsea, they were free-flowing and looked like they could run riot. So the goal just before half-time was major for Southampton. They then obviously got the equaliser, which Chelsea responded to fantastically well and went 3-2 up, and you thought would Southampton's heads drop, but fantastic spirit, stayed in the game. They got their set play at the end, and they're always in with a chance.
Wow, it's just a remarkable match, wasn't it, with just so many talking points. From here, how do you see Chelsea responding, given the fact they have got 4 big games coming up, 2 in the Champions League and 2 in the Premier League this month alone?
Well, Lampard will be fuming. This is West Brom and now Southampton, where you scored 3 goals and failed to win a game against those two sides. That's unacceptable. So they've got work to do defensively. I think we've known that. The goalkeeper, there's obviously been a lot of criticism of, but the defenders, they've been poor. And going forward, yes, they look a great threat, but they have to be better all round. You said they play Seville in the week, and that's not going to be an easy game at all. So you'd have to be defensively better in that game, otherwise you'll come unstuck.
Southampton, fair play to them. That's now 21 points on their travels in the year 2020 in the Premier League. They're second to Liverpool in this calendar year in points they've accrued in the Premier League on the road. And with that heart to fight back twice from behind, you see exactly why that is happening. Hogan, as ever, my friend, an absolute pleasure, and no doubt speak soon.
Thank you, been a pleasure.
Hogan Ephraim alongside me, Russell Hargreaves. It's finished at the Bridge. Chelsea 3, Southampton 3 in another stonking Premier League game. Next up, Tom Rennie and Chris Perry guide you through what should be another Manchester City and Arsenal.
As darkness sweeps around the globe at 8 p.m. on the 18th of November, 25,000 people worldwide will pull their running shoes on to hit the road for a virtual 5 or 10k at Run in the Dark. I'm Mark Pollock, and by joining us to Run in the Dark this November, you'll be supporting the Mark Pollock Trust and our charity partner Collaborative Cures, whose mission it is to cure paralysis in our lifetime. Register now at runinthedark.org and get your medal, your flashing armband, and your Run in the Dark virtual timing app. Thank you.
Certainty. With Volkswagen commercial vehicles, it's included as standard.